2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, coming to you on a Tuesday night, 9 p.m. live, C3 Panthers Podcast, and it is a crazy show that we got for you tonight. Luke Kuechly, breaking, announces his retirement as the Panthers also acquire Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. And we've got a ton to talk about. And I've got to say, I was really excited and pumped up to be on the show. And right now I'm trying to internalize these feelings. And I've got Cody Lashney here to help me do it tonight.
Tony, what's up, brother? Man, starting from yesterday to a few hours ago to just now, man, my past few days have been so bipolar when it comes to football. I've experienced literally every up and every down. It's been such a whirlwind ride, man. But, I mean, listen, every time there's big news in Panther Nation, it always happens on a Tuesday night, Tony Dunn. I swear, I don't know what it is, but there's some real juju going on that's going in favor of the best Panthers podcast that there is. And as always, we have the most lit Carolina Panther fan base in the YouTube chat that there is. Josh from Mass, Christina Aguirre, Rio Dub, Tin Tizzy, The Underground West, Michael Jones, Trill One, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. We got so much to talk about. Let's roll.
We want you to be part of the show by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. You can leave a message up to 3 minutes, but if you keep them quick, we can roll through the calls as fast as we can and try to limit your messages if possible. But we do want to hear your input on this news that just broke. Luke Kuechly retires and what it means for this organization going forward as well in the past. We've also got CK in the house. CK, man, I would ask you to unmute your mic. There you go. And second is to use that buttery voice to cheer us up.
I don't know if I can do it tonight, man. It's there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of unknown, but we're gonna get through it tonight, guys. It's a therapy session, but it's also a bit of a celebration, reaction. It's gonna be an interesting show, to say the least. I'm not sure many are gonna top this.
You're on the couch, Panther Nation. There's 100 people tuned in to react to this. Why don't you go ahead and smash the thumbs up button and get this show popping, man. We're trying to grow Panther Nation. We support all the other Panther creators out there. And what we just want you guys to think about is this is us hanging out on the way to the stadium, to the game, chopping it up and just talking what we feels about this team. And we've also got the Stat Daddy in the house. How you doing, my friend?
I wanted to say that I was doing great, but about 15 minutes ago, CK dropped this anvil on me. If I cry a little bit tonight, don't judge me. It's a crazy.
Nah, man, this is a safe space.
About, man.
Safe space right now.
I put my Kuechly jersey on. Out of respect, and I got my autographs, my Kuechly autograph card, rookie card. So it's gonna sit next to me tonight, and then I'm gonna hang the jersey up on the wall after the show tonight.
And listen, it really is worth saying. Like, I mean, tonight's show, all of the big news in tonight's show literally broke within the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, before we decided to go live. I mean, first we've had this incredible ups and downs. I mean, everybody who knows the podcast knows I'm a Clemson fan. So the LSU Tigers, they had the best season of all time last night. LSU paddled Clemson, and they're riding high. And then I'm all depressed about it. And then the next day, the guy that orchestrated the beatdown of my Clemson Tigers is now the offensive coordinator for my professional football team, the team I love, the Carolina Panthers. And now this about Luke Kuechly, man. I mean, this news is just out of nowhere, a left and right haymaker. Man, I mean, I don't know how we want to start this, but I mean, if Luke felt that his health was in any way going to be compromised and that he wasn't going to be able to continue to do the things that we needed him to do, I mean, for his own health, this is the best thing. I mean, obviously, I want to see the man play. I love him. He's my favorite defensive player of all time. But we're talking about a guy who's had so many different concussions. He wears this necklace thing that swells the brain so that way it doesn't move, allowing concussions not to happen so frequent. I mean, this has been a problem for Luke. And, he's 1 year younger than I am. I could not imagine, what emotions are going through his head right now, having to walk away from the sport after playing it for so long and just knowing that, I mean, now has to be your time.
Yeah.
Guys, we're about to open the show up by listening to the Luke Kuechly announcement and reacting essentially live because I know some of us have, basically we've refrained from listening to it just because we were starting the show up and we are going to announce, just kind of react and feel that raw emotion there. But before we do that, we got to I got a little plug here. Whether you're an athlete, a weekend warrior, or someone who deals with constant joint pain, back pain, muscle soreness, or arthritis, finding a natural remedy that instantly works might seem non-existent. Most over-the-counter pain relievers such as Icy Hot and Bengay only focus on the basic cooling effect, which temporarily takes your mind off the pain until the pain returns an hour or so. So here's the solution. If you're looking to get rid of that nagging muscle and joint pain immediately while providing long-lasting recovery, you need to try the natural breakthrough pain relief solution, CryoFreeze CBD, developed by Omax Health. This is non-prescription, triple action, pain relief, roll-on, specially formulated to block pain receptors, reduce inflammation, and improve muscle and joint flexibility. It's magical in many ways. Omax Health is offering my listeners 20% off the full bottle of CryoFreeze Pain Relief Roll-On plus free shipping. Be sure to use the promo code OVERTIME so you can get that discount. Don't let muscle soreness continue to be excuse for not living an active lifestyle. Holy cow. Holy moly. Jeez. That better be some serious mess right there. You got to read all that. But, all right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this. Is that right now, the real news is this. Thanks, God of Blackness, for supporting the show with the super chat. He said, told everyone we should have traded Luke. I don't know, but here we go. Let's check out what this Luke Kuechly interview sounds like, or this announcement. Here we go.
I need to play this game since I was in fourth grade, and I've been with the Panthers now for 8 years, and it's never the right time to step away, but now is the right time for me. And it's a tough decision. I've thought about it a lot, and I think now is the right chance for me to move on. And it makes me sad because I love playing this game. I've played it since I was a little kid, and it's my favorite thing in the world to do. And the memories I have from this place and this organization and playing on the field with these guys, they'll never go away. And sitting right now in the linebacker room, and the amount of memories I've had from this room alone could fill a book. And these are the best times of playing. Obviously on the field is awesome, but some of the best times of playing this game are behind the scenes in the locker rooms, in these meeting rooms, on the buses, traveling the games. You can't replicate that anywhere else, and that's why this is so hard to do, to move on in a different direction. But in my heart, I know it's the right thing to do, and it's hard, but that's why you play this game, to form relationships, and if you form strong relationships, they never go away. It's hard, but I hope to, still be involved in some way. And the biggest thing at this point now is to thank the people that have helped me get me there, from the coaches and the players to Coach Rivera to Marty, to Mr. Richardson for bringing me in, and now Mr. Tepper now. This decision has nothing to do with new coaches and Coach Rule. He's going to do a fantastic job. His track record's proven, but for me now is the right opportunity to move in a different direction. And there's only one way to play this game since I was a little kid is to play fast and play physical and play strong. And at this point, I don't know if I'm able to do that anymore. And that's the part that is the most difficult is.
Man.
Jeez.
I still want to play, but I don't think it's the right decision. So.
Damn.
Thought about it for a long time, and I think now is an opportunity for me to step away with what's going on here. I think we've got a really good linebacker room. I think Shaq and those guys are going to step and do a tremendous job. I just want to say thank you to the coaches, the players, the support staff, the training staff. Everybody involved with this organization has been the best from top to bottom since the day I got here. The fans have been fantastic. They've supported us. They've traveled. When we've been good, they've been great. When we haven't been great, they've been equally as good and very supportive. And that's the best thing about this city and this town is people love the team and people love the players. And that goes a long way, because when you love the players for who they are, I think it transcends the game, and that's what's important. And most of all, I'd like to thank my family, Mom and my dad, Eileen and Tom Kuechly, my two brothers, John and Henry, and my girlfriend, Shannon. They've been with me since the beginning. They've been very supportive, and I'm happy to share this journey with them. So thank you, Panther fans. Thank you, everybody in the NFL, for your constant support. And now it's time to move in a different direction.
Holy dude. Oh, my God.
So we all kind of agreed before the show that we would react to this at the same time. Like, we really didn't listen to that. So for everybody watching and listening, that was our first time hearing that all the way through. And damn. I mean,
you know what? It makes me feel a little worried, like almost kind of something that there's more scary stuff going on.
Something that he's not wanting to say.
Like, I mean, he's telling us what is going on, but at the same time, we don't really know what it means to deal with that kind of life.
And listen, we've been on the show, people in the comments and the calls, some of you, even myself, we've all kind of echoed this sentiment that these past few seasons, we have not been seeing the same Luke Kuechly on the field that we're used to seeing. That he was missing assignments and, kind of getting blown off the football. All these things that are just
frustrated too.
Yeah, frustrated. All these things that are just the polar opposite of what we have known Luke Kuechly to be his entire time here. And shout out to Josh from Mass. He just put CTE is no joke. And it absolutely isn't. And, I mean, it's scary. And, I mean, we do listen to stories of, like, obviously he was a much worse person, but people like Aaron Hernandez and the amount of punishment when they did the autopsy, his brain was just, it was terrible. One of the worst cases of CTE that they've ever seen. But I don't want to go too down on this because I think that there is some hope to be gleaned from this because he still talks about wanting to have a role in other ways and help the football team in other manners. And I know this is hard for him, but I do think it's a very real possibility that he could still be with the Panthers in some other capacity. Almost, maybe he'll go the Dan Morgan role, which is so eerie how similar those two are. A short career, fantastic linebackers, but just plagued by concussions and injuries, and being smart enough to call it a career before it got too bad.
Yeah, and I'll say this, shout out to Brad Dugan as well. He said Luke for linebackers coach. That statement that he made saying that he would like to still be involved, and you got the feel, like I said, that he may not be able to play football, but he wants to be involved with it.
If he goes and coaches the linebackers in Washington,
I will be mad as heck if he leaves. We have an opening, right? We don't have anybody to do our linebacker core right now. There's if we're getting ready to bring back Blackburn, I think it makes sense that we bring back Luke. I mean, Luke knows all the ins and outs of how to run a defense, and to be a linebacker, I could see maybe the fact that we're going to be in a 3-4 based on what rules said. Maybe him not having a role yet, but I get the feeling that he wants to be involved in football some way, shape, or form. If it can't be playing, it's what's the next best thing, and that's coaching. I
mean, imagine, Greg, I don't know if you were talking. Did you say something? I don't know if you might cut in or out.
No, we can't.
Yeah, so you got it happened to you again, bro. You were talking
right when we go live.
Yeah, it always happens right when we go live. Shout out to the Stat Daddy. That's got to be frustrating. Jump out and come back in, and we'll try and we'll get your.
Let me ask you, if you had to retire from your job next week because you developed a speech impediment, like, would you be as emotional? Like, what I'm saying is that would
I feel the way that Luke did? Like in that video,
Luke we just saw him lose something. You know what I'm saying? Like a loved one passed away.
Let's see if we have the bat.
Poor Greg's always in audio purgatory.
Greg, say something. Can you?
No, look at it. He's all skippy. Skippy, la 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 la. All right,
you gotta try one more time, man.
One more time.
But
all right. So, CK, would you have lost your I mean, that we saw something. We saw.
Would I have a part of my soul ripped apart of me?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Because I think that once you find something that you love, like Luke, and something that you're that good at, to where somebody can say that you're the best in the world almost, if not, you're one of the most gifted athletes and one of the most intelligent athletes in the NFL, that's something that is worth fighting for. And I think he did for a while. And I think as a lot of people have said, I'm not saying he has CTE. I think that's a comparison that might be a little bit exaggerated, but I think that he clearly has lost a step, and he may feel like it's from the concussions, but the last couple of years, there hasn't been concussions. What has hurt him. And there's been a few times where he's had those lower leg injuries that he just fights through, and nobody knows that it's like, you see it happen. He gets up gimpy and you're like, oh gosh, he's done for the season. Our season's over as a defense, but he always continues to play. And so you see that, and then everything else mixed together. I feel like he's starting to feel that come back and hurt his body to where he doesn't want to be somebody who isn't able to handle himself like as an adult. Like, he wants to be able to still be able to work beyond this. He doesn't want to be stuck not being able to work out and getting overweight like so many of these guys who can't get to working out after retiring because their knees are just destroyed. I think there's just so many different things that kind of come into play, but I do think that we lost a step. We lost the being a step ahead of the competition this past year. He was maintaining a lot of tackles, but that was also, there was a lot of missed things that we wouldn't have seen from Luke 3 years ago. So I get the reasoning for wanting to do it. I hate it because we don't have a leader for this defense right now with the way things are set up right now. When you look at our players that are actually under contract for 2020, there's not a single one of them that are going to come out on paper as being the leader of that defense like Luke was. The only person that
Gerald McCoy.
Yeah, I was about to say that makes this not as attractive of a location as a destination, but I think this all plays into what Rule wants, right? He wants to get the undervalued players. He wants to be able to utilize analytics in a way that allows us to continue to be underdogs and win games that we shouldn't win because we have players that weren't valued where they were drafted. So, I mean, I think that this plays right into what he wants. I mean, he doesn't want an entire team full of just loaded stars like you see in Cleveland. I think he really wants to have people that want to prove that they're the best, that they can be good players in this league. And, once again, I think this plays a little bit into what he wants to do. I could be wrong, and maybe we're reading into this a little bit too much, but, I got to hope that there's a future that doesn't involve so much disappointment that we felt the past 2 years.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we have.
Hey.
No video.
No video?
I can't see you.
Yes, I can
There
see
you
you. I
There you
can
are.
see
I was
you.
like, something's got to work for me.
Look,
Okay.
he's panicked.
I
He's panicked.
think I figured it out. But
All right.
okay.
Luke
So
Kuechly's
going back to
retired.
where I dropped out. Luke Kuechly retired. It's sad, man. Like I said, I might want to shed a tear because this has got to be one of my favorite all-time players. But I look at it as almost bittersweet because it does kind of sound like he might want to have something to do with the Panthers in the future. And he's, 27 years old or 28 years old? He's young.
He is 28 years old.
28 years old. So he's young. So you get him in there with the Panthers right now as a linebacker coach, something like that. Then you're looking at somebody in the future that has the brains for it and the passion for it that could make a great defensive coordinator, future head coach type deal that you've built within your franchise. So, I mean, there's a small silver lining in that, and I get where he's coming from. And, Tony, you're right. It did sound like he lost a loved one because, honestly, it's probably what it is. This is a guy who's grown up his whole life playing this game that's been really good, top level every year he's ever played. So you don't expect if you're going into this game, like if you're Andrew Luck or Luke Kuechly, and you're at the top of your class, you don't expect your career to end so abruptly after 8 or 9 years. I'm sure you expect you to have a long career that ends up in the Hall of Fame, which it might still, but ends up in the Hall of Fame and records breaking and everything. And to realize that you've gotten to that point based on something you can't control, like a concussion, which sucks, is great that he realizes that kind of stuff. But I'm sure he never expected that kind of thing. So it is kind of like abruptly losing something you've loved your whole life.
All right,
Hopefully
so
you can
here,
salvage that. So
sorry.
Yeah.
When it comes to positives about this, or outcomes, not outcomes, I will tell you the most comfortable part about this is that every time we had that conversation of Luke he just isn't standing out as much anymore. It's not that he's playing bad, and then Cody, let's recite it real quick. Man, I just don't see Luke Kuechly in the picture as much as I used to. Now you go. What have you said for the last 3 months?
No, you haven't seen anybody in the picture for the last 3 months. Yeah, that has been the byproduct of everybody playing terrible.
So
I feel like
I'm glad we don't have to have that conversation, really, for like a year or 2 years.
And maybe it did lend some validation to the former argument. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Luke really just was missing plays, and maybe Luke knows that just as much as we do. And he knows that if his play is on the decline, he doesn't want to continue to come back and not only do further damage to his own body, but be a liability to the team that he loves to play for and for a locker room full of guys that he has a ton of respect for. So we
get this, Cody, is though now also add the layer of today's news. We were all excited to come on this show this evening because not only were we coming off the heels last week of the Matt Rule press conference, but then on top of that, the Joe Brady coming from LSU as offensive coordinator was this story that was supposed to lift us up. But sadly, to me now, with Luke's retirement, now there's a lot of looming questions about the roster. The defense is going to be trash at this point. I mean, because Go at least. There's no way they turn this around just immediately without Luke Kuechly in that roster. I'm starting to wonder this. Does this mean that Cam Newton is less likely to be part of this organization? And are the Panthers plotting something aggressively for the draft if that is the case? I mean, if you don't have the parts right now without Luke Kuechly to be a good team.
It's especially when our defense was so bad as it is. I mean, I wrote a little bit of a comment for Draft Tech today. Carolina Panthers ranked 29th in the NFL in total yards per game allowed against. So, I mean, our defense is shout out to Ruben Terry in the chat. Our defense has been trash anyway, and it has been trash. So listen, there's a lot of draft options that open up, especially if we want to entertain the idea that Luke Kuechly might possibly could be a coach for the Carolina Panthers. Again, everyone's going to call me just.
What about Joe Burrow? Is it impossible?
We'll get to that one step at a time. But the perfect player that would be sitting right there for us is Isaiah Simmons, who personally is the best linebacker prospect that's come out in the draft in the past, 6 or 7 years. The guy's 6'4", 235 pounds, that can run a 4.3. I mean, the dude is expecting to absolutely demolish the combine. And if any of you watched the national championship game last night, Isaiah Simmons was pretty much the only reason that Clemson stayed in that game as long as they did last night. And if you pair that with the fact that you have Shaq Thompson, and how about this? It makes that Shaq Thompson signing look much better in hindsight. Now that we know we're not going to have Luke. I mean, whatever you thought about Shaq Thompson.
Imagine how much Shaq would have gotten paid. Imagine how much we would have had to pay Shaq on the heels of this news.
Dude, I was thinking all of those things when this happened, like going through my mind. We obviously have the shock of him leaving, but then you have to think about the upside of it all, of how things have worked out. If Shaq hadn't signed, we would be lost. Like, we would be lost, right?
I still think we are, honestly.
I think we're a lot better off now than we would have been had the signing of Shaq not taken place. He would have had so much leverage over us.
Oh, God, he would have ruined us.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, and that may be why he got signed, to be honest with you. Maybe this was something that the organization knew was going to be coming this offseason, and maybe that's why Shaq was signed as quickly as he was in the middle of the season, or there towards the end of it, instead of waiting until after the season ended.
My question, though, about the Joe Burrow, and I know it seems like a long shot because people have already said Cincinnati, they're not letting go of that. Yes, now you're thinking, do you have leverage to trade up and get up? But then you're now talking about a team who, in the first pick, has no incentive to trade out, right?
Right.
So here you go. This is Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers. What we're going to get, Joe Burrow is going to refuse to play for the Cincinnati Bengals and join Joe Brady in a pick, swap, and trade. Boom.
Yeah, let me piss in your Cheerios for a minute and be the voice of reason here. So the difference between number 1 and number 7 in the NFL draft is a lot larger than you know. So, I mean, if Cincinnati is not going to trade that pick. Joe Burrow is from Ohio. He had the best season in the history of college football. Had a quarterback.
Well, he's from Ohio. I didn't know that part.
And then, even if you get them to trade with you, you're going to have to trade a haul. I mean, you're going to have to trade probably more than one first-round pick, probably a second-round pick too. And Tony, if you're saying, we're in the middle of another rebuild, then, I mean, those are the kinds of picks that you want in your back pocket if you're trying to build up the football team. Now, with that said, maybe the Dolphins are willing to trade down. Tua Tagovailoa is also on the board. But, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this now, dude, the thought of a healthy Cam Newton and Joe Brady and this offense together what have we been saying for years now? That Cam Newton deserves an offensive mind, a brilliant young mind.
Is he that?
He's that and then some, Tony. The dude is my age, and him and Joe Burrow just completed the most incredible offensive season in the history of football. And that's not hyperbole. I mean, listen, I'm a Clemson fan. My team got their ass whooped the other night. I mean, that offense was dynamic.
But Burrow was also playing. He's played so lights out. It's crazy. Like, he was putting shit.
Yeah.
He was doing things that I saw. Aaron, did you see that one pass Aaron Rodgers had in the game where he was like throwing off his back foot? There's pressure coming, and he throws this lob like 30 yards down the field, and it just dropped right in the bread basket. You know what I mean? Like the most impossible throw. Burrow's was making those all night. So, I mean,
yeah, he throws the most easily.
Joe Brady ain't going to make damn Kyle Allen good.
No, he's not. And listen, we have to know what we're going to do at the quarterback position. Ten Tizzy just said, Cody, I need to let go of Cam. We're fixing to let go of him next. And listen, that's another huge question mark that still surrounds the football team right now. We have no idea who the quarterback is going to be. We're hoping and assuming that it's Cam Newton, but there are other options out there. And to be honest, there are two other good quarterbacks. Now, they all have their concerns. I mean, and real concerns, but that happens with every quarterback that comes out. But there are two quarterbacks coming out in this draft that we're going to be in range of, that if you put them under a Joe Brady offense, I think they would be incredible. And that's Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert from Oregon.
CK, tell me why you're so excited about this Joe Brady. You guys need to get me excited. I felt like I was overexcited about the Matt Rule stuff, and you guys are at the level of excitement I was last week about Joe Brady. Why are you guys? Tell me, convince me that this is a godsend.
So, did you watch the game last night? Let's start there.
Yes.
He's the wide receivers. Like, he's the basically anything that they did was him.
Passing.
The running game worked. The passing game was Joe Brady. Now, here's the part that I say we come back down to earth a little bit on. He did not call plays. He is not the play caller in that offense.
Who is?
They had an interesting. They actually talked about it on the broadcast, or maybe Cody, you can elaborate a little more on this.
Yeah, can I give the specifics? So,
please.
So Ensminger called first and second down, and Joe Brady called all the third down plays and all the red zone plays, but he also orchestrated their entire passing offense. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to cut you out from the news, CK, but it's not just a situation where he was only calling the plays sometimes. They specifically brought in Joe Brady to elevate the passing attack of LSU in ways that Ensminger, the original offensive coordinator for LSU, couldn't do. So
LSU has never been able to do. I mean, think about it. They've never been able to be. It's almost like I couldn't even believe it all season. It was happening.
My brother is an LSU fan, and I've been telling him forever, y'all have the most incredible defense. Y'all put out so many defensive backs, so many defensive linemen. If only LSU had an offense, they might be unbeatable. And that happened, and they were unbeatable. They went undefeated and posted the best offensive season in the history of college football. So, but that passing game, I mean, you're talking about two 1,000-yard receivers on LSU's offense. You're talking about a 1,400-yard rusher and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and a quarterback that threw for over 5,500 yards.
One of the most prolific offensive performances.
No, it's not one of.
It is the with the most touchdowns.
It is the most prolific season that a quarterback has ever had in college football. And you have to give credit to both of them. Joe Burrow, who is an incredible talent that came out of nowhere, had to fight for it. and Joe Brady, who is a protege that studied under Sean Payton. Listen, we have no love for the Saints or Sean Payton, but none of us are going to sit here and say that the offense they've implemented in New Orleans
it's been fantastic.
Hasn't been incredible for years.
Yeah,
and
the whole time.
We're talking about implementing here in Carolina.
Before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Ross Gould, who has supported the podcast through a super chat. He said Joe Burrow is a product of the LSU system. Brady, in parentheses, he was a 5th round prospect before the season. Let Cincy take him. He's from Ohio too. And Caleb Hudson coming in with a super chat. Thank you for your support. Trade Cam in the first to the Dolphins for Tua or a second. All right. So back, Mike, to CK. Continue on this Joe Burrow connection to the Saints, because I think Cody brings
Joe
up
Brady.
Yes, thank you. Not Joe Burrow. Joe Brady. Too many Joes.
I know. That's an interesting JB.
And Joe Brady has to be the most boring. It's almost like made up.
But I guess you could say he's not your average Joe.
Oh my gosh, that with Rule and now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so what obviously you saw a very efficient offense, an explosive offense, which is something that I think you have to have in the NFL now with the way that the game is played. And I think that should be something you'd be excited about. But the connection you're talking about with the New Orleans Saints, before this season, he was with the Saints as a wide receivers coach, if I'm not mistaken, or a quarterback coach.
And some sort of offensive assistant. I did read that.
Yeah. So, but what he did is he took what he learned at the Saints, and he basically created the system for LSU that was now all of a sudden just brought them into this entirely new era of offense that they had never seen before there at LSU. So I think when you look at it that way, to put it in perspective, Bat Daddy has said he has some concerns about the Rule and his lack of success, especially early on in his career with the colleges that he's been going to. Joe Brady went to LSU and turned their offense around in one season.
What do you think that Joe Brady acquisition, Cody, tells us about the pull of David Tepper, but also the attraction of Matt Rule?
So I can't yet speak to Matt Rule, but I can tell you what, and I mean, listen, pardon my French, but David Tepper's got that big old swinging hog, and he is spinning it around, boy. And listen, I mean, apparently all the NFL owners are all pissed off at him now because when he hired Matt Rule, I mean, he blew the coaching cap out of the water for a guy that had no NFL experience. So apparently the boys club, as it's known, of these rich NFL elite owners, they're not very happy with David Tepper. But, I mean, if you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers, how can you not be incredibly enthusiastic about the lengths that David Tepper has shown us he is willing to go to fit this football team with premium coaching, which is what the Carolina Panthers have been in such a desperate need of for so long.
And so I've said it before. I have complete confidence in David Tepper and his actions. At this point in time, I have confidence. I want to say this, and forgive me, I'm gonna drop an F-bomb during this statement. So just if those in need, put me on mute for a minute. I don't give a fuck what these other owners think. They're the ones that have been in the league long enough to develop a market that's bigger, that's going to be more attractive to players, to coaches. If we have an owner who is now what I think they consider the richest owner in the NFL, who's willing to push his team to be able to be the best or be considered a top contender every year, that people want, that's an attractive destination. It's been an attractive destination, Charlotte has, for a while, but it's not been somewhere people seek. It's somewhere people have to be convinced to come a lot of times. And the fact that we have an owner that is going out there and doing everything in his power to turn what this organization's, I guess public opinion of it is out there with the owners, with the public, with the news, with the media and everything. I don't give a shit what these other owners think. I don't care. Honestly, I think it's amazing because what you see is how salty all these owners are with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles rejected our request for an interview for one of their guys because of this. I guarantee you it's all because of this, because of our owner willing to go out there and do what he needs to do to succeed. It's making all these other owners have to empty out their wallets. I don't give a crap. Our owner is doing what he needs to do to take this team where he believes it needs to go. That's all that matters, and I hope he does it more, and I hope he pisses these guys off even more and more and more, and we'll just go and just build this team up and all of a sudden take the market share.
Well, Greg.
Can y'all hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, there you are.
I feel like we're
All right.
in a Verizon commercial.
Yeah.
It's a
Or
much
a
better,
Sprint commercial.
much better angle of that beautiful beard. If I say
Yeah.
so myself.
I had to change to the phone because for some reason my computer's not working, so I have no microphone, just my phone's microphone. But
No, you're good.
it works.
I
It works,
want to follow up on CK's comment about the payment of Matt Rule or whatever. Like, yeah, first, shut up, billionaire guys who barely
Yes.
share the NFL revenue with the players in comparison to other leagues. Like, they're already getting a sweet ass deal, the owners, and they make a shit ton. Second of all, it wasn't that big of a damn deal. I mean, it was big. Don't get me wrong. They invested in him, but they just made him basically one of the top paid coaches in the league. So what? You need a coach. What else are you going to do?
They
You don't
gave
go
him the John
shopping
Gruden treatment.
Yeah, we don't go shopping at the Dollar General with old damn Dave Gettleman, right? And
Yeah.
but I do say this is that after today's news, I actually have been sad. Like, I thought that next year we arguably had an opportunity to really.
Oh, no.
Nope.
No,
What?
no. Here's the thing. I knew where you were going. Like, there was this optimism for next season. This is not a move that is meant to be immediate as far as success. Now, it's possible that we have these.
I mean,
guys
I
come
think
in and
he's
they-
good enough. I just don't think the roster is now.
Well, that's the thing is that we're going to end up having to build. We have to build. It's going to be development. This team is going to be dependent on the later rounds of this draft we have this year. That
We're
is
going
really
to
what
trade
it's going
back
to be.
then. That's what we should do. We should trade back.
No.
Yeah,
way.
I'm with Greg on this. If
Not with
you
the number
have-
7 pick. Top 10 pick, you don't trade it.
And
You need it.
specifically, and again, so I kind of know some of these players. Specifically now, when you have a shot at one, Derek Brown, the defensive tackle from Auburn, who is an immediate fix to all of our defensive line run stopping needs. You can put him at a 1-tech and a 4-3 or a pure 0-tech nose and a 3-4. It doesn't matter. That dude is an absolute beast. Look at his film against LSU. LSU won the Joe Moore Award for the offensive line of the year in college football, and Derek Brown just absolutely had his way with them and held a prolific LSU offense to just over 20 points. So, and now that we're talking about missing, I mean, the most incredible linebacker that the Panthers have ever had from a pure talent and IQ perspective, now the ability to add a player like Isaiah Simmons, who might be the best physical linebacker prospect that we've seen, come out in the last 10 years. I mean, if you were just comparing the measurables and the physical details between Luke and Isaiah Simmons is a far better athlete that you can play all over the field. And I just don't know if you pass up on that kind of player in an attempt to move down. I do think what will be interesting is what we decide to do in free agency. And, I mean, we saw Herney last year. He was not afraid to go out and put some players on this football team that made a difference.
We're going to have some money all of a sudden, though. Because Greg Olson's going to retire now.
Yeah, we're not bringing him back next year for sure.
Maybe.
So we're going to have some money to spend. It's just a question. I feel like now I'm worried we're going to languish in the dumps for a year or two. All right, guys, but look, there's plenty still to talk about. We got a lot to talk about, in fact. But we got to keep our ear to the ground and check out what the fans are saying on the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. And before we talk about it all, we want to hear what you got to say. Go ahead and call. Leave us a message about Luke Kuechly's retirement, what he meant to this organization, what he meant to you, this Joe Brady hire, and your excitement about the Matt Rule era or your fears going forward. That's 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's going on, Panther Nation, C3 fam, everybody in the chat, Josh from Math, and man, have we just been bombarded over the last week. It seems like a lot of things are just falling into place,
and this is before the Kuechly news.
Some of this to kind of
right.
drag out, if you will, into the playoffs. Apparently, Mr. Tepper has other ideas. But I do believe that coming into this season with the season at hand, next season, there's a lot of what if, there's a lot of questions, and there's a very big one, and we all know what it is, and I'll get to that in a second. But I think he really wants to put a lot of those questions to bed before this season's even done. I don't mean the league year, I mean the actual season. And it seems to me like he's doing a fine job of that. You look at our new offensive coordinator, our new head coach, our new defensive coordinator, and it doesn't take much to realize that, you know, the rest of the pieces will just kind of fall into place because those guys are all going to have their ideal group of assistants and everything. And as for the elephant in the room, you know, I see a lot of reasons to keep Cam, and I see a lot of reasons they could move on from him. The big reasons I see it is we got mostly a college coaching staff here, if not all college coaching staff, pretty much, except for probably going to be assistants and positional coaches. And that's where Cam did the most damage. I mean, he's been great in the NFL, but he was a monster in college. So I see this as a lot of things here that could benefit him, but at the same time, I could see some of the justification for moving on. I don't care for any of that justification, and I feel that it's outweighed by the positives. You know, let the man have some time under a more modern staff that could probably get more out of him.
All right, thanks, Josh, for your call.
It don't matter who's
He's got another call, but since this one's so long, I'm gonna play another one.
Josh from Mass signing out. Keep
before I play it.
Happy New
Thank
Year.
you, Josh. Let's move on to the next call, and then I'm gonna play that video that CK just sent.
What the fuck, dude? That came out of fucking nowhere. Luke is gone.
That's how we felt.
I guess I gotta do it one more time.
Luke! All right, let's play this video. I want to see what CK sent. He said this.
Can you play it for everybody to be able to see it? Not obviously we can't, but
right. Yes, I can, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm going.
I took a sneak peek. You're in for a treat. If you're watching the
in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Luke Kuechly, linebacker, Boston College.
How you guys doing?
Luke Kuechly is a beast.
Tremendous instincts.
The legend of Luke Kuechly just keeps growing and growing and growing.
AP Defensive Player of the Year.
Luke Kuechly.
The
up in the pocket, throws intercepted. Luke Kuechly at the 48-yard line. Hey, that's on you guys. That's on you guys. Good job. Four-man pressure, and Wilson in trouble. Flicks it out of the backfield. Picked off Kuechly, angling right, 10, 5, touchdown.
Oh, they're going crazy up there. My man, Luke Kuechly.
Welcome to the most important game in the history of Bank of America Stadium.
It's never the right time to step away, but now is the right time for me. And it's a tough decision. I've thought about it a lot, and I think now is the right chance for me to move on.
Well, thank you, Luke Kuechly, and no thank you to CK for making me watch that after. God.
I almost want to cry, you know?
Yeah, well, all right. So, what were your thoughts during the video? Mine were, I think Luke Kuechly is arguably the best defensive player the Panthers have ever had. The question is he's definitely top 5, right?
Oh, top 3, I think.
But you're talking about Julius Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
And who else?
Sam Mills.
Better. No,
Sam Mills gave us a lot more after he retired. He was great while he played, but his legacy is on us during that Super Bowl season. That's where his legacy really comes into play.
Played a lot with New Orleans. Played a lot in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the Den Mama too. Susan Dean's in the house. Thank you for your support with the Love Bomb Super Chat, $14.99. There's a ton of people watching on YouTube, folks. This might be our biggest show ever. 148 people live. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. 68 thumbs up. Let me guilt a few more out of you. We just hit 150. Come on.
We had 168 earlier.
Here's my question about Luke, and I put it in the in the message here in the show chat. But Luke hasn't been the same since he got juked out by that 14-year-old kid, guys. So.
Oh God! Don't say that.
Did he ruin Luke's
disrespect?
By the way, hey, I'm gonna go out here and just say it. I put Luke Kuechly over Julius Peppers. I'm not even sorry about it.
Well, Luke,
I'm not even sorry. Right. There is not a single defensive player on the Carolina Panthers other than the memory of Sam Mills and obviously the keep pounding thing. But okay, people forget that Julius Peppers opted to leave here, whereas in the most magical seasons that Carolina Panthers have ever had, Luke Kuechly was the beginning, middle, and end of that defense and orchestrated a nightmarish run where quarterbacks all over the NFL had to change their entire game plans just because Luke Kuechly was going to come in, call out what they were doing, and ruin their entire shit. I mean, Julius Peppers was the man. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Luke Kuechly never decided to leave. It's Luke Kuechly number 1.
Is there any bias because you saw Luke Kuechly and you didn't see Julius Peppers?
I think there might be a little bit there. Hold on. Well, I think also you mixed in factual information with opinion right there as well, because you have an opinion of Luke Kuechly because you feel better about him because he never left, whereas you're right about that. So are we talking about heart for Carolina Panthers, best defensive player, or overall best defensive player just as far as how players go? Because if that's the case, then I think Julius Peppers...
They both played 8 years for the Panthers.
Correct.
Okay.
But I will say this.
That's insane.
Luke was more dominant for more years, and he was considered the number 1 person at his position for the majority of that time.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, dude.
When do you think his downhill spiral
Who was
started?
considered a better linebacker than Luke Kuechly?
Julius Peppers.
Bobby Wagner.
Listen. Julius Peppers was always considered one of the top 2 or 3 defensive ends in his prime in his first 8 years when he was playing in the NFL. Julius Peppers finished his career as like the number 5 or 6 all-time defensive end.
He was considered maybe top 5 for the first 3 to 4 years, 5 years maybe. After he left and he went to Chicago, and he was not nearly as dominant.
Has Luke been considered the top linebacker for the last 2 or 3 years? Didn't we just argue that point?
Well, I would say last 2 years probably not.
Okay,
but for
so
the
that's
first
about
I just
5 or
want
6
to
years,
say
right?
this is Julius Peppers had 70 sacks in 8 years.
Okay.
70. He
That's
played
less than
12
10
games. He
Wow.
all right,
Yeah,
so
that's a
he
whole lot.
played he only played 12 games his rookie year and he had 12 sacks. His last year with the Panthers in 2008, he had 14 and a half sacks. He is all right, I would argue this. I think that it's probably a coin flip. Like, I think it's probably like this. Is like, hey, well,
I can deal with
Peppers,
that. Yeah.
I agree with
Peppers
Austin. You
is
can't compare
sacks.
2 different positions.
Yeah, the positions, one's sacks, one's tackles, right? I do think the Panthers...
One's the leader of the defense. One has a bigger impact on the entire defense than the other. And I promise you, you put Luke Kuechly in there, he has a bigger impact on the game on every play than Julius Peppers does.
That's
on every
such a
play.
lie.
So I can't agree with that either, man.
Peppers was such a monster.
So hold on.
Such a
You're,
but here, just think about this, though. Peppers then went on to play for 10 more years. That's the crazy thing. And you got to give Peppers, he has to be the best, technically, the best defensive player in Panther history if you take in the entirety of his whole career.
How many other linebackers in the NFL have as many tackles as Luke Kuechly has had after
In his first,
after
8 years?
I can make this. I can make the same
Nobody.
argument with Julius Peppers. How many other Julius Peppers finished like 6 all time in sacks and tackles in the NFL?
Luke
like
was
all
number
time
1. Luke was
for the
number
last few
1.
years, but he's not number 1 all time.
He is number 1 all time in his first 8 seasons.
All right, can I
In his
read
first
this
8
stat
seasons.
to you,
I'm talking about
Cody?
all time in the 100 years of the NFL, not just the first
Cody.
8 seasons.
Yeah.
I have to read this stat to you. In 2004, Julius Peppers, all right, not only did he have 11 sacks, all right, he had 2 interceptions for 143 yards.
Yeah. He was a beast. I'm telling you, man. Julius Peppers was a beast.
He had a 97-yard touchdown, 97-yard interception return. Oh my god! All right, but all right. So if we say they're one, all right. So if you want to say 1A, 1B,
1 and 1A, I can give you that 1 and 1A or 1A, 1B. I can agree with that.
So you guys
I'm not knocking Luke
work.
Kuechly.
Let
Yeah,
me
Oh,
break
is
this
the
down and be a
stream
little-
down? No. It's saying
No,
it
it
on
doesn't
my
work.
end. Yep.
No, I see
It
it.
says reconnecting.
Yeah, now it just went down.
Come on.
Yep.
It
Just
says
went down for me too.
a few seconds ago. Come on. Reconnect.
I'm going to ask a question when we get back.
This is a good conversation right here. This is a good
We got to
conversation.
go
I like
live again.
All right.
You want me to tell the people in the chat it'll be in the stream?
Yes. Good Lord. What a night. It's hot in here.
I got to look up that stat too with Julius Peppers because I don't want to be saying he's 6th all time or whatever and not be right about that.
You're close. He's not far from the top.
I know he's not. I know he's not far from it, but I don't want to be. I got time. I'm gonna check it out.
Only reason I say the way that I'm saying is like if we're talking about the biggest impact on the Panthers history period. Like
I mean, I
Luke
can
has a bigger
understand that.
Hey, I'm still
right.
here.
Yeah.
Like Luke has the biggest like impact on the history of the NFL, the Panthers history period. Like it's my opinion. So
It's not a dumb argument. I'll give you that. It's definitely not a dumb argument because it's very close. So
all right, we're back on the air live again. Let me give you guys.
I was right.
the one.
Six all time. Yeah.
Sorry for all the troubles. Who knows why? I can't help it. All I do is just try to press stream. Google takes care of the rest. But we're back here talking about where we were. We left off. We were actually strangely getting into a heated argument over whether Julius Peppers and Luke Kuechly. I actually was sitting here thinking, man, like some other names I wanted to put up there. I mean, like if you were thinking about who it was, I think Chris Jenkins was tremendous for us. I don't think I would put him in that same class. And I'm trying to think of Dan Morgan is there. Dan Morgan is actually had just his career was even shorter than Luke's. And they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't put.
They're the same player, man.
Yeah, but I think Luke
Kuechly was better than Morgan.
Right.
He was, but Morgan was like the Luke Kuechly of then.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But all right. Let's.
I was going to ask one question, guys, before we move on. There's one spot in the Hall of Honor. Who are you putting in, Luke or Julius Peppers?
I mean, only because Julius retired a little bit earlier than Luke. I would probably put him in first just because he's next up. But
he's a lock Hall of Famer. He's got to go. He came back and retired with the Panthers. He made amends with Panther fans. He deserves his due.
Do you think that Luke is not a lock for Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Well, with this short career, I don't think so. Yeah,
he's got a defensive player of the year. He's got offensive or defensive rookie of the year.
Okay,
yeah,
those are both one-time records. No, I'll give you that. I hope he makes Hall of Fame, and I think he possibly could. But I think retiring beforehand, it's like Andrew Luck. Do you think he's a Hall of Fame?
No, not even close.
No,
Kuechly had a better career than Luke Kuechly. Than Andrew Luck.
Do you really think so? Every year, Andrew Luck was a healthy. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
I can guarantee you that if you look at how dominant. So now that everybody's incorporating analytics and data and Pro Football Focus and all these different types of things, no one has ranked higher season after season from the middle linebacker position than Luke Kuechly. Maybe he never got that Super Bowl, but I think that when history looks back at what Luke Kuechly managed to accomplish, yeah, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And listen, we're arguing between two great players. We're not trying to we're not trying to diminish one or the other. I just think that this past decade of Panther football has been intrinsically defined by two people, Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly. And it's been those two guys. Yeah, we've had some Greg Olsen, Thomas Davis. We've had some other incredible players, but those two men have been the heart and soul of this Panthers football team.
What's our identity with our
offense? Yeah, the face of our offense and the face of our defense.
I told my wife right before I walked downstairs, because you guys told me the news when I was setting up the stream, right? So I walked downstairs 10 minutes before the show. I said, I thought, you always think the show's not going to be long. And then you go, oh, Luke Kuechly just retired. She said, she said this.
See you tomorrow.
She said, no Luke. She said, no Luke, no Greg. And where's Cam? She said, I don't know. Who am I supposed to cheer for? Like the team that she knows.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
I mean, it's going to be McCaffrey now. This is it. But at this point, that's not going to be enough.
No, but you're right. And it's what I was just saying. The faces of this franchise are not going to be a part of this team anymore. And Cam Newton is still up in the air. That's still the big. Basically now it's gotten to the point where even our chat room is kind of split. Some people are like, "Listen, we're going to move on from Cam. We might as well do it. Draft Tua or whoever." And then we have our Cam Newton diehards, and we're a part of that group that thinks that Cam Newton deserves a chance to be under this new, profoundly talented offensive coordinator, this wonderkin in Joe Brady. And it's I think that Cam Newton deserves the chance to see what he could do under that kind of offense and that kind of game planning prowess. And I would love to see it. I hope it happens. But you're right, man. And I've touched on this before. It hurts every season when we have to say goodbye to another Panther player that we just could not capitalize on the window that we had to win a Super Bowl. Through different general managers, to inconsistent coaching. I mean, it's been really sad to watch.
Well,
Ruben Terry just wrote, Luke won a defensive MVP. Peppers didn't.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Okay.
Rookie of the year and defensive MVP.
I will say, to the point you were talking about just a moment ago, though, Cody, is you're right as far as certain players that we have gotten that have been let go, or not let go, but have gone from the franchise, that maybe we didn't maximize their opportunity. But only one team wins, so 31 of the teams every year always say that same exact thing. So it's not abnormal for a player to not win a Super Bowl. It's really not.
Most of them won't.
Most players never win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I had a great thing to say, and I completely forgot what I was going to say now.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. But yeah, ISO.
All right, let's go. While you think on it, let's go to the next call.
All right.
So, yeah,
it's impossible to hear him.
Yeah.
I don't even know who
Is it getting better?
A little bit.
No. All right. Next call.
No. Sorry, Carl.
Hey, what's up, C3 fam? This is Carl D.
Carl D.
How's everybody on the panel doing? What's up, CK? What's going on?
Going, bro?
Yeah, I know you don't. I know we had a big disagreement. You thought I hated you. I told you, you're my boy. Look how far I have came, CK. Remember when I first met you first used to be, I didn't even know your name. I just called you, referred to you as the man with the glasses. You have grown on me. But that's all right. But anyway, today is a sad day. The great Luke has retired. Big loss. I've seen y'all saying something about Shaq. Maybe the signing, of Shaq was looks good in hindsight. Oh hell no, Shaq still sucks. With or without Shaq, this defense is going to suck whether we have Shaq or not. Having Shaq, it just makes us suck worse. That's just the way I see it. Hey Cody, really? You want to draft your Clemson bias linebacker in the first round? I mean, I know.
Did Luke Kuechly not go in the first round?
We need to replace Luke, but Cody, really? We need an offensive lineman more than anything in this draft. So why in hell would we take a linebacker and let yet another draft go by and not try to get an offensive lineman, somebody that can help the quarterback stay upright? Hint, Cody. Jesus.
Cody, can you handle the response to this?
I have a question. Why do these fans still talking about getting a wide receiver in the first round? My
God. You
God.
stick around, because I'm going to reply to you
Do
directly
they not realize, have they forgotten that DJ Moore is our number one? We don't need no wide receiver in the first round. Why waste the pick on a wide receiver in the first round? We need offensive line. Period. Point motherfucking blank. Can I get it any clearer to you fans? No wide receiver. No linebackers. Offensive lineman. The name of the game in this NFL is scoring. You don't got nobody to protect that quarterback, we're not going to score. And that's going to put defense on the field more and more. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to tire out and they're going to give up more points like usual. Lord, how much? Logic, people, logic. All right, I'm out of here. That's my rant for now.
All right, Carl D. I need to respond to you directly, man. And really, this is a conversation that we all need to have anyway. Because I've been saying for a long time, and many other people have been saying for a long time, that you have to bolster this Carolina Panthers offensive line. You have to get more guys on there. We got to get big, mean, and nasty on the offensive line. Listen, I'm all for that. But let's also be reasonable about something else. The Carolina Panthers moved up in the second round last year to grab a left tackle named Greg Little. And regardless of what we think about Greg Little or not, they're not just going to give up on him after 1 year of waiting. Now, granted, we could take a guard, but is there a life-changing top 10 talent at the guard position in the draft this year? I don't think there is. But there's going to be other guys in later rounds of the draft that we're going to be able to put in that left guard position in favor of Van Roten. And Van Roten didn't play great this year, but he also wasn't as terrible as a lot of people made him out to be. He was serviceable. We could certainly upgrade the left guard position, but this is an offensive line that I can almost guarantee you this front office is looking at the offensive line saying, it doesn't need a whole lot of help. We have Taylor Moton on one side and Greg Little on the other. Now, that does not mean that we're going to completely dismiss the idea of taking an offensive lineman in the first round. But there are players that you just cannot pass up on. And yeah, Luke Kuechly was drafted at pick number 9 in 2012. How many fans that year said that we shouldn't have drafted Luke? That you shouldn't have drafted a middle linebacker
I did.
in the top 10 of the draft. And how many people said that? How many people were wrong about their assessment of taking a linebacker in the top 10 picks?
Yeah.
And more importantly, if it turns out to be a generational type of player, it also tells me that Carlo D hasn't seen a lot of Isaiah Simmons yet. They put him at safety. They put him at corner. They put him at nickel. They put him at inside linebacker. They put him at outside linebacker. They match him against tight ends. They do everything that you can imagine with Isaiah Simmons, and it does it at the highest level.
Yeah.
So it's not me being biased. I'm saying when there are generational talents at certain positions, it's not every day that you're going to have the ability to grab those kinds of players.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Cody, I almost agree with you 100% on that. I really do. The only thing I disagree with you on with that is about how much of the offensive line needs help. I think we need a little more help than maybe you feel like we do. But I agree with what you're saying as far as a generational talent, 7th pick. You can't pass up on it.
Yeah,
because
and it's not that I don't think that we need to upgrade the line further, because of course I want to do that. And especially now that we have an incredible running back in Christian McCaffrey, especially if Cam Newton comes back, and we have Joe Brady now. Yeah, we want a dynamic, powerful, dominant offensive line. But what I'm saying is right now, if you look at the pieces that we have in place, we don't have to dedicate an entire draft to our offensive line like a lot of people are saying that we need to do.
Well, Luke Kuechly leaving really changes up the draft plan completely. It really
and
does.
Marty Herney is not adverse to drafting a linebacker in the first. He's drafted Thomas Davis.
Right.
He's drafted John Beeson. He's drafted Luke Kuechly.
Right.
And depending on what linebacker you're drafting, they can absolutely be worth it. And
I wonder if he drafted Dan Morgan. I'll look that up.
Probably so.
You just have to ask yourself: Does like just Isaiah Simmons? You said his name was?
Yes, Isaiah Simmons.
Okay, just imagine that Isaiah Simmons comes into the league and he turns out to be somebody like a Luke Kuechly, a Bobby Wagner, like an all-time All-Pro type linebacker, which we're kind of expecting to be because he's that great. Does that affect you more having a player like that on your team than having a rookie offensive lineman that does well based on the offensive line that we have? Because I think with the linebackers we have left and the offensive line we have left, I think that drafting a player like that would affect our team in a more positive way. So like I said, Cody, I almost agree with you 100%. But I mean, if you're saying that our offensive line needs work, then I agree with you 100%.
Well, yeah. Again, I put this out on my Twitter. Most of the top high-end offensive line prospects in this year's draft are right tackle prospects. Tristan Wirfs is one of them. The kid from Alabama, the right tackle, whose name escapes me right now. There are a ton of really good right tackle prospects, but really there's only like one one or two real left tackle prospects out there. One of them is Andrew Thomas from Georgia, and you're looking at maybe a top 5 pick right there. Obviously, that depends on where quarterbacks go in the draft. But, it really, if you're looking for a left tackle, there might not even be one right there that you want anyway. So, yeah, listen, listen, Tony can back me up on this. I've been saying build the wall around Cam Newton on this podcast forever. But it just depends, man. There are 3 names right now, and I've already mentioned 2 of them, but I'll give you a third one. Andrew Thomas. So that's another one. But Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson, the defensive tackle from Auburn, Derek Brown, and the corner from Ohio State, Jeffrey Okudah. I mean, we're talking about James Bradbury, and that's something else we have to mention. James Bradbury said he wanted top 5 corner in the NFL.
We can't do that. We can't do that. That's why I'm worried. That's why I'm worried that Luke
Brandon Herbert is in the chat. I'd love to see his response.
That's where the Luke Kuechly retirement to me is the most unsettling, guys, is because to me this does signal a moment where, like your Cam Newton is the only guy that is the Panthers that we know.
Oh, that makes me remember what I was going to say earlier.
Nice.
I have a shirt from 2 years ago, okay? And it has all the faces of the franchise. And it has Cam, Luke, Thomas Davis, Greg Olsen, Jonathan Stewart, Christian McCaffrey. And I'm looking at the shirt now, and there's 2 players. Oh, and what's his name? Salad Boy. Devin Funchess. There's 2 players left. That was 2 seasons ago. There's 2 players left from that shirt. That's insane to think about how much we're changing.
I'm worried that this signals a super rebuild. I thought that we were, hey, we can make a couple of additions. Cam comes back. You've got Christian McCaffrey. He's fantastic. You get excitement under a new, charismatic coach, and you might be able to catch. At least not. I mean, I'm not saying you go out there and all of a sudden you're a great team, but I don't think we were falling to the despairs of 2-14. But now it's kind of hard for me, particularly unless just Cam comes back and does what Cam has done. Like, that's the only thing. Look, Christian McCaffrey had one of the best running back seasons in the history of football, and it barely was a story in the NFL. Just because it didn't matter. It's like Barry Sanders on the Lions.
Yeah. Can I read out a number for you guys right now? So
yeah,
a little over $30 million is what the Carolina Panthers are currently going to be working with in cap space.
That's obviously before the Luke Kuechly stuff.
Yes, this is before the Luke Kuechly things, which we don't know how much dead money there's going to be.
I'll tell you, I can do it right now. Yeah, I'll do it while you're talking.
Find that out for me. But we're talking about $30 million. So just for hypotheticals here, let's say Cam Newton is no longer a Panther after this year.
Then after this year.
No. Okay, so no, not after this year. Let's say Cam Newton is no longer a Panther. Period. He is not our quarterback this year.
Add $20 million then.
Yeah,
you save 19 there, and you're saving.
You're talking about over $50 million. You have a top 10 draft pick, and you have the ability to get the quarterback if you want it. If Tua Tagovailoa is there, the chat room is a resounding no on Justin Herbert. We'll have to do a rundown on him at some point in time. But I mean, if there's a quarterback there that they're in love with, that they think that they're going to be able to have a chance with on a rookie contract. With all that money, to be able to reload on some pieces in free agency, I don't know if this is as big of a rebuild as you're thinking that it is, Tony. But again, the Cam Newton money is a big deal, and we don't know the extent of, is Greg Olsen going to retire? What's the dead money on Luke with his contract? There's a lot of question marks up in the air, but it's not like we're in a position that we're not going to be able to alleviate some of the stress of our football team being so bad, but we do have to kill free agency, and we
Our
have to nail the
defense
draft
sucked
process.
a D. Our defense sucked a D with Luke Kuechly. It is going to be like Debbie does Dallas without Luke Kuechly. And I want to know the question that I have, and I bet you know who the most informed people that can tell us everything is the people in the chat room. They know the most out of all of us. What happens when a player retires to the guaranteed money that is spread out? You know, because when you sign a contract, you get a guarantee money, and then they spread that out over the life of the contract. Does the early retirement affect that guarantee money at all?
I have no idea.
Because if it doesn't, then we basically, Luke Kuechly if we cut Luke Kuechly, he would have been $11 million in dead money, $12 million in dead money, and 3.5 in savings. So if he gets all that money and retires early, then we only add $3.5 million to the salary cap without him.
Well, I know whenever Andrew Luck retired early, that he owed a lot of money to the Colts. Now they ended up letting him keep that money, which I have no idea why. But I know that he did owe a lot of money. I'm not sure what that money was. Was it? I don't know if it was the guaranteed money or whatever. But he was supposed to pay them back money, maybe it was they ended up paying him. I can't remember. They ended up paying him money when he retired for no reason at all. That he was either supposed to get back or didn't. Or I can't remember. But
Brandon Herbert says if the team chooses, they have to pay it back. Calvin Johnson. But my question is more about the cap number than anything. I don't really care about the team getting money back. It's does Luke Kuechly still count against the cap? But here, please explain to me, Cody. I need you to defend this more. How this isn't a rebuild? I don't really get that at this point now. With everybody gone, we don't have a tight end. We don't have a receiving core.
We have a tight end.
I agree with you, Cody. So defend this.
Yeah, his name is Ian Thomas, and he's fine. He just doesn't get enough playing time. He just needs playing time. But I mean, if you're gonna roll down the positions, look, we have K1 Short coming back. We don't know what the future is going to hold on Dontari Poe, but again, that's
he's gone. He's gone.
Okay, so Vernon.
He's got to be. We are not. We can save $10 million if we cut him this year.
Well, right, but you're talking about the holes that we have on our team, though. If you're just cutting to save money,
he just had a really. We've been questioning his play. I defended Dontari Poe more than anybody. So we're talking about a Dontari Poe who has been not the most loved player among the Panthers defense. On top of that, he did have his best season arguably with the Panthers this year, I think, until he suffered a season-ending injury. He's getting up there. He's been in the league for 8 years himself. He came in the same year as Luke Kuechly. He might be a year younger, or, he's about 30. I don't know if I want to pay. I mean, all right, so keep going. Because right now, is that like we don't have any corners? Right now, our corner situation is stuck in. Like there's nothing on this team defensively. Zero other than Brian Burns.
Yeah, we're going to have to spend some money in free agency, and we're going to have to draft well. But, we were saying this at the same time last year, before Marty Hurney went out and got Gerald McCoy and got a center. I mean, I feel like the past few years in a row, we've had quite a few surprises in free agency. We picked up players that we didn't think that we were going to get. I don't think that, I think that we're overreacting to the run defense thing, which terrible as it was.
No, we're not.
Tony, we're not saying that it wasn't fucking god awful. It was. What I'm saying is that the steps that you need to take in order to fix the run defense is not as numerous as you're making it out to be. One,
right.
And
yes,
we've said this all this year. The coaching was god awful all year. from Eric Washington to Ron Rivera. I mean, last year we ended up firing the defensive backs coach. Like, our coaches have not gotten a lot out of these football players. Then on top of that, if you add some other interior pressure in the draft, I wouldn't mind re-signing Gerald McCoy to another year if he wants to stay. You have K1
He's going
Short
to the
coming back.
Ravens.
You have K1 Short coming back. You're going to have players on your interior. We have young guys on the edge with Brian Burns and Christian Miller and Marquise Haynes. We have, let's count them off. Dante Jackson, people are up and down on him. But at the same time, he's young. He's still under contract.
And he's proven he can do it.
Yeah, he's proven that he can do it. We know we have Eric Reed for another year. Yeah. And then on offense, we have our receivers. We have
we
Christian
don't.
McCaffrey.
Curtis Samuel is no longer. Isn't he? Don't we have to sign him back?
No, he's still
Curtis Samuel. Well, I don't know about him coming back, but he had a second string quarterback thrown to him this year, so you can't look at his stats.
I'm not saying that, but I mean, like,
he was drafted with Christian McCaffrey. This is his third year. He's going into his fourth year. We still have the option to pick up his fifth year. So
these are the names of the people that we have to make a decision on going into next year: Gerald McCoy, Mario Addison, Darrell Williams, Bruce Irvin, Ross Cockrell, Jarius Wright, Trey Boston, Vernon Butler, Chris Hogan, Kyle Love, James Bradbury, Greg Van Roten.
There's not a name on this list that's going to be on this team next year.
James Bradbury will be here.
Maybe.
James Bradbury best not be on this team.
If
we cannot, is that I am a fan of Bradbury under the circumstances he's played, but there is no way in hell that we are going to give him top 5 corner money.
No,
that's why the franchise tag exists.
You're right.
Which that makes him a top 5 player then.
Well, no, it pays him to be a top 5 player.
It takes the average
for a year.
Of the top.
It pays him to be a top 5 player. No, it pays him to be a top 5 player for the. I think the average of the players that were drafted in the same year he was, isn't it? Or is it just overall?
No, I think it's the top in the league. That's why, like a quarterback, I think it's like the top 3 or top 5. Cody, read the list again, and you stop when you get to a name you think has to be on this team.
Well, let's say yes or no. Let's all of us say yes or no.
Okay,
yes,
all right.
if you want to be on the team, no,
I like
if you don't want to.
Yeah, I like
let's go
that.
through the list, Cody.
All right, Gerald McCoy.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
All right, Mario Addison.
Where's CK at?
Yeah, where's CK?
But Gerald McCoy, no, he's not coming back.
No, okay, so 2 yes, 2 no's. Okay,
Mario Addison.
No.
Mario Addison.
Yes.
No.
Darrell Williams.
Okay.
Nope.
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 Bruce Irvin.
Nope.
Nope. Ross Cockrell.
Nope.
Nope.
Maybe.
Jarius Wright. Nope.
No.
Nope.
Trey Boston. I'll say yes.
Yes.
I'll say yes to that. But we ain't gonna pay. No. God,
Vernon Butler.
yes.
Vernon Butler.
No.
Chris
Absolutely
Hogan.
not.
No.
Kyle Love.
No.
Maybe as a depth piece.
I saw. Did you see
Practice
this
squad.
crazy tweet flying around that Kyle Love had 4 sacks or something this year off of, like, he was ahead of Brian Burns on a metric.
Well, hey,
like on created sacks, but still, he's like 40 at this point. No.
He's 33, and it would only cost a little under $1.4 million. But James Bradbury.
No.
Yes.
No, I say no.
I say yes.
Greg Van Roten.
No.
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 Getting up there.
There's not a single player on this list, dude.
But a lot of these players aren't the most important impact players.
You can't lose a whole team. We just lost a whole team.
But okay, this is assuming that these guys.
How many of those are starters? Go down the list. How many started this year?
So McCoy, Addison.
Started.
Okay, but hold on. Do we have someone that can come in under them and
No.
play? Yes, we do. Okay. So for
Christian
Mario,
Miller, you have
Brian Burns, you have Christian Miller, you have Marcus Haynes. I mean, these are those outside linebacker pass rush positions. Darrell Williams, no. I mean, listen, and I was telling this to Carl earlier after he called in. We spent a second-round pick on Greg Little last year. They're not going to give up on him after 1 year. They're going to factor him into the plan. So, I mean, the rest of these guys that we're naming off, like a lot of these dudes weren't super important players to our football team. Oh, how about these two? Joey Sly.
Oh, God.
Do we even have? What's the deal with Graham Gano? Like, do we even know?
You know what?
I think it's
no.
I think it'll.
No,
I think he'll. I think that Sly will be back for another training camp battle with Gano.
I do too. I think he'll be back, and he's not even at $500,000. How about Reggie Bonifant?
No,
I like Bonifant.
Yeah, who cares?
I like Bonifant.
Yeah, and
but really, who cares? Yeah, they're going to run Christian McCaffrey 98% of the plays. So who cares?
Yeah, and you're talking about dudes that are making the minimum.
I think they're going to give Scarlett a chance.
We're tanking for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, don't say that, man. Don't say that, please.
I don't know how you could do. I don't even understand. We don't have any core players. We have no core players.
Here's the thing. This is exactly the type of team that Matt Rule wants.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe Matt Rule wants to coach good players.
I think he does, but I think he can.
He's not playing sniper and knives only and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
Well, and look, good.
I was going to say, I mean, I think this allows for you to actually build your team the way you want to, as a coach, as a GM, as you know, whatever your vision is of this team moving forward. This is probably the best scenario for him coming into a team that he can build the way he wants to build it. He's not going to be hindered by contracts by people that he doesn't need to keep. He's basically inheriting a zero roster at this point in time. So I think that this plays well into what he wants to do at this point.
Well, and we also can't be kind of cynical about this roster
sucks.
Either. Like, hold on, Tony. We gotta really step back and look at this. Like, realistically, the only player we've lost from last year and from a team that we thought was a good team is Luke Kuechly right now. All those players you had in mind, we don't know what's going to happen with them. They may be here, they may not. I don't know what's going to happen, but realistically, all we've lost so far is Luke Kuechly, which that sounds so terrible saying that because he's an amazing player. But, I mean, we still have, you know, he wants to coach good players. We've had a good team, and I think we've all agreed at a lot of different points in times that we have.
We're losing Greg Olsen. Don't forget, listen to this.
We don't know that yet.
For the last 10 years, the Carolina Panthers have had like 5 players and everybody else. It's been Cam Newton, Luke
Isn't
Kuechly.
every team like that, though? What team's not like that?
I don't know. All right, this is, I guess,
like
here's my sentiment, though, when it comes to this.
No, I disagree. San Francisco's not. Well, okay, yeah, you're right. Maybe San Francisco. Okay,
my sentiment when it comes to this, guys, is that the thing that I've built all of my hope and optimism on every year has been Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Like every year is that it's just like, and you know, Cody, when I was on your porch that first day, what I said about Cam Newton, right, is that we kind of had that same feeling about Luke Kuechly on defense. We have no, you heard about the locker room ills this past year. Matt Rule's personality better bring in some other big personalities. Because we got nothing now, nothing.
Yeah, and listen, it's a full turnaround, man. It's a full turnaround. It doesn't mean that. So listen,
Fefe said my kids are named Luke and Cam.
There's a middle ground to this, I think. And I don't know if we're ready to win a Super Bowl next year. but I don't think that we're going to be in the tank either. I mean, but yeah, listen, you're not saying nothing that isn't blatantly apparent, man. A lot of the big name players that have defined the past decade of Carolina Panthers football, they're not on the football team anymore. And that's why I have said before, there's never been a more important period in Panthers history than right now, because it's this transition phase. And right now, you know, again, I feel like we've barely talked about Joe Brady, which any other night would have been the news story that we've talked about the most. But, I mean, David Tepper has done everything in his power to make this a smooth, good transition with the best possible people in mind for the job. So, I mean, we have to draft well. We have to the players that we're talking about, we have to draft the next generation of those kinds of players.
That's so hard.
That's what we have to do.
That's what you said.
Hey,
Oh.
hey, Cody, I got to ask you though.
Yeah.
You started kind of following pro football like when Cam came in the league, right?
Yeah, around 2000. I mean, I had been watching it then.
Okay.
I mean, I had watched it a bunch before, but I didn't fall in love until Cam Newton.
Okay. Well, the only reason I asked that is because, like, you know, I've loved this team since like day one. You know, my stepdad's hospital that he worked at got season tickets to this thing, and we used to get to go to games and stuff. So, like, while I agree with you that this is one of the most crucial times ever in the franchise, before we got Cam Newton, we were kind of, I felt that way when we got Cam. So I feel like we're on the precipice of something great.
I do too.
Yeah, man, but Joe Burrow and Tua ain't no Cam Newton. Neither of those guys are Cam Newton. That's what I would say.
Okay, well, you know
Either
what?
of them.
But you know what? Maybe a fantastic, the best overall quarterback is not the next step in what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Like we have, I feel, one of the best running backs in the league. If Cam comes back healthy, we have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Maybe that's not the next step, you know? But all I'm saying is we've been in this position before, or I feel like we've been in, because, you know, I mean, 2009, 2010, man, you know, I was right there. We're kind of where I'm starting to feel, you know, a little bit right now, but we're not as bad as we were then, which makes me feel better. Like
Tyler Lovato's with me.
Great.
Tyler Lovato's with me. He's in the depths of despair with me in the rebuild. Despair.
Well, Tony, here's the thing. Like, the rebuild shouldn't be the 2020 is not going to, you know, be a guaranteed contention year. There's a possibility we come out and do something crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
will you buy 4 tickets?
It depends upon how the draft goes and if Cam just to be honest. So here's the thing: if you can basically look at this from the perspective that Dave Tepper has, where he said we're going to build things down or we're going to tear things down so that we can build them up. That's basically him coming in with the mindset that it may not happen this year. We may not get to the playoffs this year. We may not get to the playoffs next year. It may take 3 years for us to actually.
I don't think he likes losing though.
He doesn't, but he realizes this isn't going to be an overnight transition. And so here's what I'll tell you is next year may not be a year that's going to change, you know, the history of the Panthers, right? We may see some good things. We may see a lot of bad things. But what that means is if we go in with an expectation that we're tanking so that we can get a Trevor Lawrence or something, if we do something great, there's some optimism to be had there. But right now, I think the biggest thing we got to remember is that I feel like our franchise is in a good place right now as far as moving forward and building on a solid foundation where if you look at the past, if you look at what we've had since Cam Newton, you had a really good start and a really good middle part, but because the foundation wasn't built, the line wasn't built, the team was not built to support Cam Newton, we did not have a solid long-term plan to keep this team afloat for a long time. I feel like we're changing that. I feel like with this regime and what David Tepper wants, we're moving forward and it's going to allow us to actually have long-term contention in this NFL that is very tough to play in right now.
Cody, let me ask you this.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Cody, let me ask you. Does the odds that Cam Newton plays with the Carolina Panthers in 2020, have they changed after today? Because I have been on a position at this point where I think Cam is going to be on this team. I think Cam is on this team. I think all this is smoke about the trade and this and that and how Cam ain't going to play on the last year deal. But Jesus, at this point, man, it does not seem like we're trending in a direction more for Cam.
Well, I'll say this. Joe Brady has been on record. I've watched interviews of his, and he talks about how important it is for a quarterback to be mobile. Not necessarily that they have to, do the designed runs and things like that. But when you look at Joe Brady and Joe Burrow and what they were able to do in that offense, mobility is a big part of what Joe Brady wants to do, because it offers you so many options that are that are hard to come by when you can pass the ball and run the ball and extend the plays from outside the pocket. So I think that Cam Newton is just as good at doing that as absolutely anybody else. And again, the thing that nobody knows, and the reason why we have no more information about this today than we've had in podcasts prior, is because we don't know the health status of Cam Newton. We don't know if he wants a brand new contract, but before the end of next year, or rather before the start of this year. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know the real opinions of Matt Rule or Joe Brady, for that matter. And I guarantee you that the conversations and the things that we're wondering about on this very show have already been talked about between those three men: David Tepper, Matt Rule, and Joe Brady. There's even a report that they're saying Joe Brady has the authorization to hire his own personnel. So as the offensive coordinator, they're saying Joe Brady is going to be able to hire the other offensive people on the football team. I'm assuming that's the receivers coach, running back coach, all that good stuff. So if you're going to give him that much leeway, then he's going to have his say-so of what kind of quarterback he's calling plays for. So, I mean, as frustrating as it is, there isn't a better answer that Panther fans have now. We just simply don't know. And there's no
Let
way
me tell you
know.
this, is that, and overshadowed by all of this news, not only did we want to talk about the Matt Rule press conference, but also news that the Panthers have been courting people, particularly one individual from the Eagles that they were hoping to, it seemed, get
to court.
Yeah, but the Eagles have shut it down, which is strange. As well as, well, it's not strange, but because if he would have been being interviewed for a GM position,
he wouldn't have been able to be stopped.
Right. But since it was, I guess, a lateral position or something to that effect, I don't know why that is, but he can go interview with the Browns now, but he can't interview with us. As well as there's been another position coach that has been associated with the New Orleans Saints that is friends with your boy Joe Brady from his time there, and the Saints shut that down because of it was a division rival. So you asked about, like, we don't know these guys' opinions, and I got to tell you, man, this is just where I'm at when we're talking about opinions.
Look, I'm telling Marcellus today, I'm through.
Well, why don't you tell him at the same time why?
Don't worry, I will.
Yeah, and I bet you $10,000 he laughs his ass off.
I don't give a damn if he does.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well,
that's what they be saying.
Opinion? I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped?
What's happening?
Oh, man.
All right.
Oh, man, I shot Marvin.
One of the best scenes in the whole history of the world.
That's Marvin, one of my favorite all-time movies.
It's my number one. It's my number one. At least for this, I say is Pulp Fiction is the best screenplay. Not the best. You know, when we quantify things as the best, it is my favorite screenplay of all time. Is my favorite. I like it. And because of that dialogue, and like Marvin said, and if I'm Matt Rule right now, and you say, who's going to be our quarterback? He's saying this, man, I ain't even got an opinion.
So can I steal a question from Twitter and post it up to you guys?
Hell yeah.
Just a little conspiracy theory stuff going on, maybe. Y'all think Luke knew what was happening with Cam and that played into his decision to not return and retire?
See,
No,
I don't think so, man. Because I know we were talking about this before off mic about how Luke may have, seen what was coming in the future, not wanted to play. But I don't think you retire because of that. And especially with the emotion that he had. I think that this is a decision that came totally from him. I don't think, and he even said it in the interview. It didn't have anything to do with coaching or anything, or the coaches change, anything like that. I think it comes totally from him. Now, I do think that maybe the signing with Shaq Thompson, I know we touched on this earlier, but I wasn't able to speak about it because I was down. My mic was down. I do think the signing with Shaq Thompson had something to do with it as far as maybe they knew something ahead of time and they went ahead and signed Shaq Thompson based on what Luke Kuechly was telling them may happen in the future. So
I think my opinion is this, is it didn't have to do with Cam. It had to do with this. Ron Rivera, gone. Changing of the guard, uncertainty in the future. A guy who he said this. He said he lost something. He said he came out and said it. He is not the player he was. Or he's afraid he can't be that player anymore. So you have that fear and that uncertainty. Where is the desire to play, particularly on a team whose defense has nothing?
Well, so does that mean you feel like if he gets a good offer, he'll go somewhere, sign with somebody else?
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
That's all I was wondering.
I think his fear. I think this is that. Did you look in that man's face?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you saw that, it wasn't just emotion. There was to me, a fear of what doing what he loves would do to him.
Right.
You could see it. You could see it in his face, man. It was almost a face similar to the one we saw him when he got blasted in that concussion a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's, I'm not trying to be exaggerative, but it was a sort of, you remember when you saw Luke, and
like
we were there.
Frightened sadness.
Yeah, and you don't know where you're at kind of thing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like you're sort of reeling. It's almost like waking up, that feeling of falling when you're asleep.
So
you can't control anything.
Okay, so two things real quick. Shout out to Ross Gold, dropping the $2 love bomb. Love bomb says losing Ron and Ryan Vermillion definitely impacted his decision. And then shout out to God, who's just chilling in our chat room. Says Kuechly is too smart to keep playing at 1,000% like that. He knows he'll be punched drunk. And again,
I think that's it. I think that is it.
CK kind of brought this up earlier. I wasn't saying that Luke Kuechly definitely has CTE and his brain's all fucked up. But I mean, basically, what I'm meaning to say is that the more you continue to do this, and if you look at the amount of tackles the man has had over the course of his career,
it's insane. You're talking can I throw this stat out to you just because you bring it up? I went and looked up Dan Morgan because Dan Morgan was to me, the most dominant linebacker I could think of that I saw on the field. Dan Morgan only had one season. First of all, he never played a full season. He never played 16 games. He had one season with 102 combined tackles. Luke Kuechly his lowest combined tackle of his entire career was 102, and he only played 10 games that season. He had 1,100 tackles in 8 years.
That's insane.
That's absurd, man.
Insane.
That is.
And
that
on
is
top of that, let me see
astronomical.
this: he had 18 interceptions
in 8 years.
So here's what's interesting. So he was the fastest person to 1,000 tackles, right? He was the first person to reach 1,000 tackles in his first 8 seasons. He reached 1,100 in his first 8 seasons, meaning he outpaced any other player by over 100 tackles.
Wow!
If you think about that, in the first 8 years, Like that's an impressive stat. But
and I think that's probably what brings us to probably a little bit more to Cody when it comes to just that
sheer amount of the
8 years. That 8 years for our organization. And what I would say is Pepper's career better. Luke Kuechly's 8 years, unbelievable.
Right. They're unbelievable. And,
I'll give you that.
And again, everything I was saying, it's not just his ability to tackle. How many other players made plays because Luke Kuechly did his job? Because he either changed the play or alerted someone where the play was going or made sure that he hit the right gap so that way another player.
You could say he extended Thomas Davis's career.
Oh, absolutely extended Thomas Davis's career.
Think about how much money people made by playing with Luke.
Yeah, that's awesome. Everybody should send him an annuity check.
Yeah, he should definitely be getting some cut to that. He should be almost their agent. I mean, the reality is he set the defensive lineup. He said, this is what's going to be happening. He called the plays. He gave them the setup. So, let's go ahead and credit some of Mario Addison's success to Luke being there in the back. Helping him understand what that coverage or what the offense looks like they're about to run, and he got a massive contract. You have so many of those guys on that defense that could have benefited. I mean, let's even take a step further. Let's look at Josh Norman. I'm not sitting there saying that he has every impact on Josh Norman, but does Josh Norman get the type of money, or does he have the type of season he had in 2015 without a linebacker who's commanding that defense like Luke? I mean, we saw what happened to Norman when he went over to the Redskins. I mean, when you don't have that type of leadership, when you don't have that person setting you and making sure you're doing the right things and holding you accountable to everything you're supposed to be doing to do your job, I think that impacts things. And I think Luke has always been that person who holds people accountable, hold himself accountable. And that's why I think this is happening. I think he's holding himself accountable to the fact that this year has been one of his worst. And it's one that he can tangibly see, feel, and he can be made aware of just by looking at film that this has not been a good year for him.
His frustration too, the system. Now, I do want to bring this back. Is Mr. T Money 1993, aka Straight Facts, was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still hanging around, but he was saying that Matt Rule has said that he prefers a 4-3, but I know that they've been running a 3-4 at both Temple and Baylor. And the question, again, I don't know if we asked it earlier, did the 3-4 scheme ruin Luke Kuechly?
I don't think it ruined him. I think it may have been difficult for him, messed him up. I think honestly, it all comes down to concussions. That's the only thing that I think is the decisionist thing with Luke Kuechly. Because if you're one of the top players in your league and you love the game as much as you do, the only reason you would step out of something like this is because of injury. And CK, you were talking a second ago about how he affected money for people and how much money. Dude, he set the market too for linebackers whenever he got his contract. So I mean, he's affected people that aren't even on the Panthers team, just in money, just by how well he's played. There's so many things you could say about this guy that are absolutely amazing, but I don't think that the 3-4 made him start to decline. I think the fact that he's starting to get older and the fact that he's had problems not feeling right in the last few years is what it could cause the decline, not the 3-4. I don't think it did it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. It's almost kind of even annoys me to this point. Not that people are bringing it up, but it's like listen, 3-4. Maybe our coaching staff wasn't built to properly transition this team to a 3-4, and I think there's also something to it that we had a lot of injuries, and I think our ability to run a true 3-4 was incumbent upon K1 Short being healthy and being able to play. And as soon as he went down, I mean, listen, what have we talked about recently? We didn't know how important Star Latulele was until he left. Now we're seeing how important K1 Short was to the football team. You have to be able to affect the interior of the line of scrimmage to be able to affect the quarterback. And when you don't have that, and you're not able to stop runs up the middle and pressure the interior, everything goes out the window. So that's why. Listen, I'm not falling for the magic trick here. Yes, we'll be terrible.
KK was there last year. KK was there last year.
Yeah, okay, but again, all right. So what? And we ran a 4-3 before that. So which is it? Which one's terrible? Everybody wants to have their cake and eat it too. I think we just need to rebuild our defensive line, get fast linebackers that can flow to the football. And dude, we're golden, man. We're ready to roll again.
We're golden. Shush.
We are, dude. You are a pessimist tonight, Tony.
I am, man, dude. I don't know this. The team that made you fall in love is a team I don't see. I don't.
Yeah, but you knew at some point in time they were going to be gone. I mean,
you still have that old.
I didn't think we were going to lose Cam Newton, or arguably every player. Like, I don't even know if Shaq Thompson's the only jersey I got left. Yeah.
No, dude. All we've lost so far is Luke Kuechly. We haven't lost Olsen necessarily yet. We haven't lost Cam Newton. Who else? Who else have we lost for sure?
That entire list of people.
Yes, and go ahead.
That's not true. I mean,
how about this? Would you rather have? I would have been fine if we said no to every name on that list if Luke Kuechly was on the team.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I'd be like, all right, no. I got Luke, I got Cam. Let's go make this shit work. All right, let's get some calls in here. The number's 252-228-5098. What do you guys think about Luke Kuechly's retirement? Is this a full rebuild? Are you excited about the Joe Brady hire? And how can you be excited in the wake of this news?
What is your initial reaction when you heard that Luke Kuechly left?
Oh God!
You're hearing it.
You heard it. You heard it. Gut shot.
Yeah.
Next call.
Yeah.
Next call.
Yeah. I'm saying we draft Tua. Cam's over. He's old. He's a dud. You can't waste McCaffrey's talent like you do Cam. So either him or an offensive lineman. I'm telling you.
We didn't waste Cam's talent. What we did is we took advantage of it.
And we wasted
it. We wasted it too.
We wasted the fuck out of it.
Yeah, we wasted it.
I disagree. I think we just all right. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is we did take it for granted. We took it for granted.
We did all of them. We took advantage of it. We did take it for granted, and we did completely waste a bunch of talent and some prime years of his career.
That's a football hat trick.
Yeah, 100%.
Next call.
This is probably.
Is this J-Dub?
I bet no, it sounds like it sounds like
Nation.
No,
there's no replacing Luke.
Nope. This is Kyle. I think it's Kyle.
And what hurts the most is when great players never win a ring.
From Raleigh,
play the game to win a ring, and it just makes 2015 a little somber. It makes it sad because we should have won Super Bowl 50. We should have won Super Bowl 50. You know, to not get Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, Cam, just all of them tonight. Greg, to not get them a Super Bowl ring that year, it's just like, it makes it even sadder, you know? With that being said, you know, we just gotta keep pounding. I think our draft does change a bit. I think we might go after Isaiah Simmons, you know? I think Matt Rule has already rumored that he's gonna take the best player available, and, you know, I would really like Derek Brown, but after losing Luke, Isaiah Simmons is plug and play like day one.
I'm telling you, man.
In different places, like if we're struggling at a spot with his 4.3 speed, you can put him wherever on the defense. And
yeah, I like this guy.
I don't know. So,
who would have thought we're drafting a fucking linebacker first round?
Dude, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just that. Anyway, I'll let him.
Hurney has built teams like this, though.
You know, Steve Smith was sad too, but they did Steve Smith wrong, you know.
Right.
To not see Luke put on a Carolina Panther uniform next season, it's gonna be different. And then if Cam is gone too, it's like,
who the fuck are we?
Who comes out of the tunnel outside of CMAC and gets us riled up, dude?
I know.
There's good things to come, but like everything in life, you know, things always come to an end. But all we can do is keep pounding.
All right, man. Thanks for that call. It's gonna be tough looking ahead. That's where I'm at. I'm at the bottom of this group, the panel tonight. I think I'm in the deepest of despair.
Okay, let's cheer you up, man.
I didn't know what it would feel. First of all, I was unprepared. I was coming up here going, all right, bitches, excite me about this Joe Brady mofo. You know what I'm saying? Here, how about this?
Yeah.
Let's I think I got where is it? I thought I got that Matt Rule. Anyway, here, I'm gonna play another call. I was excited about Matt Rule, and now this shit just threw. What is it? It's just you guys peed in my fucking Cheerios.
Yeah.
I had optimism until tonight.
Balance.
It's G Baby. It's a sad day in Carolina Panther Nation right now, man.
G Baby.
If I didn't have family right now, I'd be in tears. I'm shocked. I honestly, I don't even know what to say.
I'm with you, brother.
Man. I feel like I just saw a ghost, man. Damn.
Huh?
Man.
I feel you,
I
man.
can say, Panther Nation, man. I keep our heads up, man. This one hurts. Hey, but I mean, his health, man, that's the most important. And if this means that, you know, he wants to live a long life, you know, how can you be mad about that? You know what I'm saying? I just said, damn, man.
I'm worried about his health right now.
Carolina Panther Nation, we are in a complete rebuild. We are in a complete rebuild. I mean,
they're calling in for me.
Just retired. Nah. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, man.
When you watch that video, Tony, you said you were worried about his health now. Do you feel like you can almost see his health deteriorating? Like
I was thinking that a little bit. I didn't want to say it, CK, because, you know, you don't want to, when someone's emotional.
You don't want to kick somebody while they're down, yeah.
And when someone's emotional, too, we all look, you know, kind of out of sorts. Yeah. But there were a couple of times in the video where I thought there was a certain emptiness behind the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I hope that's not the case. And it's not making fun. It's not accusation. And I hope it's all wrong. But there was, like I said, some sort of real fear there.
Well, and I think that's something that's important to kind of remember too. Is, you know, Luke, I think that he's just sad because he loves playing this game. This is something that none of us understand. None of us are professional football players, unless someone's lying to me. No one in the chat room, I feel, is a professional football player, unless the Carolina. Oh, okay, I didn't know. My bad.
I'm a professional football player. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm really good at Madden.
You've seen this physique.
Yeah.
And I'm a world.
I'll play you in some Madden. Let's do it.
I'm a world-class track athlete, dude. But
NASCAR, motherfucker.
To be able to step away. I'm not a redneck. Calm down. In order to be able to step away from something that you have dedicated your entire life to, like you see this a lot of times with professional fighters too. They have defined themselves by what they do for a living. And then oftentimes they start to lose it, but they don't know that. You can't tell them that because they have that fighter mentality. They believe in themselves to overcome and come out on top. And it causes fighters to stay around longer than they should. I think it's the same thing with football. A lot of times, players overstay their welcome. And I think that Luke kind of saw that was happening for him. And I think it's a sign to the maturity and the respect level that Luke Kuechly has for himself, for
and
his
the game of
teammates,
football,
and the organization that he's been playing for. To
and the
know when
game,
to call it quits,
and the game itself. Question to you, Cody, about the question about the fighting reference, though.
Yeah.
You know, you play since, like you said, 4th grade. You know, probably playing as hard as a damn monster the whole time. Yeah. You know, I just kind of wonder what's the difference, you know, for boxing. You know, those mugs, the amount of hits that, you know, their CTE must just be just out of whack. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you saw the year that Muhammad Ali lit the torch for the Olympics, right? You remember that?
Yeah, man.
Like, yeah, that's the difference right there. That's what it does, and maybe that's what Luke Kuechly was looking at. Was like, I don't want to be that guy, even though I'm sure Muhammad Ali probably took a whole lot more blows to his head than Luke Kuechly ever would in an entire career. It's still, man. You know, a lot of NFL players talk about how whenever you play a game, the next day it's like you've been in 25 car wrecks. You know, and that's the kind of brutal, you know, punishment these guys put on their bodies. So I don't know, man.
What about this comment from Brad Dugan? The brain says they can still play, but their body says no. Is it really the inverse for Luke Kuechly?
Listen, now we're kind of delving into the speculation. I'll say this: I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I think that Matt Rule is he's going to start out his tenure the correct way. I think, hell, it might even be next Tuesday. We'll find out about it. Luke Kuechly is going to be the linebackers coach on this football team, and Phil Snow. I mean, I don't even has that even been reported yet? It's like everyone's talking about Phil Snow like he's our defensive coordinator. I have not heard
that. It has been.
Yeah, I don't know if that has been 100% confirmed, but let's just say that it is. Phil Snow has been with Matt Rule literally everywhere that he's ever coached. So you have Phil Snow as our defensive coordinator, and in the meanwhile, you're grooming a Panther legend who's already on the coaching staff to be able to fill in and take over when Phil Snow doesn't do it anymore. And someone in the chat room earlier, I think it was Brad Dugan, said, Luke Kuechly might be the next Mike Vrabel. Just a great player who turns out to be a badass coach. And I can 100% see that with Luke Kuechly. And that's my prediction. Matt Rule, at some point, is going to bring Luke Kuechly onto this coaching
He's
staff.
He's going to be a boring-ass coach. He's going to be boring. He's going to be a boring coach.
Maybe, but when you're on the field, he's a different person on the field. Maybe when he's having to, teach these players and coach them up, maybe he might have that same tenacity. I don't know. It depends, but I know Luke is going to have some kind of presence with this organization going forward. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, let's jump to the next call. Is this G Baby? Hold on, I think it's next call.
Team in 1993. Damn, I mean, it's tough to see Luke go, man. Especially at this point, man. I mean, I was always expecting it if it was reported he had another big concussion, but I mean, as far as we know, he hasn't had one since he started wearing that collar. But hope we can get him back as a linebacker coach, a scout, something. He has too much football knowledge still left up there, man, for him to just go hunt and fish. But I got videos out about that and about the Brady hire. Hopefully y'all will check them out. I'm out.
All right, check out T-Money 1993, a.k.a. Straight Facts. And he's echoing your sentiment, Cody.
Yeah, and I think we should, man. I think there's reason to believe that he made the right decision, and he might not be on the field, but he's not going anywhere.
I see no connection between Snow and Boston College right now. All right, next call. All right, next call.
All right, just call these again.
Cody.
Rebuttal to you, Mr. Cody. You
Oh,
said
Lord.
I haven't seen a lot. I'm a Clemson fan, so yes, I've seen a lot of Mr. Simmons. I know what
Okay,
Simmons
my
can
bad.
do,
I didn't
but
know.
yet still, as I stated again,
Y'all cover me for a second.
You need offensive line help more than you do defense. Scoring is today's. In this year, all of our losses. How many points did we average? I'll wait, Cody. How many points? What was our average score on every single loss this year?
And how are we going to pretend that wasn't on our
Exactly.
terrible quarterback situation?
And what was the reasons behind us not scoring points, Cody? Answer that. I'll wait for that too.
Quarterback. If you're waiting, you don't have to wait long. Quarterback.
Exactly. Offensive line. Quarterback has no time to throw the ball. If your quarterback don't have time to get the ball to the receiver, then then that's 3 and out. And if you keep doing 3 and outs, no matter how good we can have the NFL Pro Bowlers on defense. If we don't have nobody to protect the quarterback and we don't score points, even an NFL All-Pro defense is not going to help us win the game, because eventually they're going to tire out and the other team is going to score more points than us. So like I said, the name of the game is about scoring more points than the other team. Yeah, come on now, Cody. You gonna try to come up with that argument about Simmons? You don't have to explain how good these players in this draft is. My point is this: our biggest need is the offensive line help. Yeah, we spent that pick on Little, but we can always. There's 2 offensive linemen who are in the NFL history. You don't see too many offensive linemen like the 2 that's going to be projected in the first round that high in the draft together. That's just all I'm saying. Just ask yourself and just think about it. Offensive line is more needed. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Carl, I love you, man. I appreciate the call, but you're completely misunderstanding me. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that our offensive line is not important. I know you have to score points, but why are we just going to pretend and omit the biggest factor that you're not talking about? We had a terrible quarterback situation all year. One of the things that fans had to learn the hard way is how Cam Newton's movement from inside the pocket benefited our offensive line when it was so bad for so long. And we didn't have any quarterbacks that could do that this year after Cam went down. Now, was our offensive line bad? Yes, it's unquestionable that our offensive line was bad. But you have to understand that a lot of times that's on their quarterback knowing how to navigate the pocket. Now, what I'm saying is we have an answer right now. The decision makers on the Carolina Panthers have an answer in their mind at right tackle in Taylor Moton and Greg Little at left tackle. And now we have Dennis Daly that can be thrown in the mix. He wasn't great down the stretch, but who was? Dennis Daly was a serviceable member of our offensive line, and he did well down the stretch. What I'm saying is there are offensive linemen that you haven't even heard of yet, like Mekhi Becton, the left tackle from Louisville, that might be available later on in the draft. But I'm telling you, man, people don't know the value of a play eraser. And it's funny that I even have to say this to a Panther fan. Having a play eraser like an Isaiah Simmons or a Luke Kuechly on our team and how much that has meant to us. What if it was Jeffrey Okudah? You don't want a shut-down corner, 6'1", runs a 4.3. You don't want that kind of shut-down player on our football team. There are too many options in the top 10 of the NFL draft for us to say, oh, you only have to have that one position and that one position only.
Unless there is an offensive tackle that you know is the best tackle prospect you've had an opportunity to ever get, I think I'm with you, Cody, is you look to what Tampa Bay did last year with whatever that linebacker they drafted was.
Yeah.
Their defense was terrible. And it's shown in the past, with the addition of John Beeson, the addition of Thomas Davis, the addition of Luke Kuechly, how important that is. And my question is what does this team look without that? And that's why I think Cody's argument is strong here.
100%.
And to add to what Cody's saying too, the fact that we did have a big spot in offensive line that we need to fill.
Our line was not the worst line we've seen either.
That's my point. Is our line is not the worst line. Yeah,
that we've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not the worst line, and the fact that Luke Kuechly just left opens up another spot that is of dire need in improvement. I mean, besides Shaq Thompson, who do we have?
Nobody. Don't give me this Jermaine Carter stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So I got to defend Cody on this. That was Carl D. Man, I understand what you're saying, and the offensive line does need to be addressed. You're right. And
you might as well draft guards in the second and third. We'd be all right with that.
Well, if the best player, whenever we get up on number 7, is the offensive lineman, take him. I'll give you that. But if we have a chance to take a generational player in a different position that we are in need of, because we don't have any generational players.
Or a guard, I'm saying no. I am not spending a top 10 pick on a guard.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to either, but I mean,
I wouldn't go that far. It just depends on it. Depends on you wouldn't you wouldn't take Quentin Nelson in the top 10, the guy that the Colts drafted. I'd take that big bad mofo in a heartbeat.
Right,
but not over another. Right.
Right. Yeah. If you're in the top 10 pick, you're talking about shutdown corners. You're talking about franchise-changing quarterbacks. You're talking about linebackers that can erase an entire play, defensive linemen that get after the quarterback on a whole nother level. These are the most premier talents that college football has to offer. And you do not reach for a certain position just because you feel that there are deficiencies there. When you have what is potentially a generational kind of player staring you in the face, you have to 100%. Take those players.
And we 100%. Really, and arguably, and you guys said this earlier, and Cody, I don't know if you know this, but your camera's not on.
No, I do.
Okay. The thing that Greg and you both said earlier in the show that resonated with me is how quickly you were to say don't trade back. Like you don't get the top 10 pick enough.
Right.
And particularly in a time where our team needs an identity of a player to build around. We cannot believe that this team is going to be built around Christian McCaffrey for the long term. I just don't believe
he'll be a very important piece.
Right.
We're going to need more than just a bell cow running back.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we need someone who is going to be not only who is going to be the iconic Panther on the field.
Right. And my thing is do you think that drafting one offensive lineman at number 7 is going to change the offensive line so much that it's going to affect the game so much more than drafting somebody like a Simmons? That
it would if we had those guys before, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't help enough when you don't have any other players.
Based on where we're at, exactly. So one offensive lineman is not going to fix the line. Don't use that 7th pick on an offensive line.
Yeah, they have to be worth it.
Unless it's that left tackle. Who's the left tackle prospect, Cody, who is like a lock? The guy from Georgia?
Andrew Thomas is the big bad mofo of this year's class.
Would you take him over Simmons?
If he's there. If he's there. Both of them are there. Yeah.
Man, both of them are there. See, this is the deal. If you would have asked me this question before today, my answer would have been the easiest thing in the world. No, let Isaiah Simmons go to some other team because at least we have Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson.
Right.
It's not the most pressing need right now. But losing Luke Kuechly and having the opportunity to draft Isaiah Simmons, yeah, it's a completely different ballpark that we're talking about now. But if there were two players that I would be willing to pick over Isaiah, it would be Derek Brown, the defensive tackle from Auburn, or Andrew Thomas, the left tackle from Georgia.
Because Chase Young is not in the question.
Not even at all.
There's no way he can make he can fall out of the top 3.
He will be with our old pal Ron Rivera.
Really? With all of that talent they got on the defensive line there?
He will be with Ron. You can pencil in the number 1 and number 2 pick right now. Joe Burrow goes number 1 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Young goes number 2 to the Washington Redskins. Pencil it in. It's not going to change.
Cody, I want to ask you because you know more about college football than I do, and especially about prospects.
I love talking about it. So shoot.
If Jerry Jeudy is available, do you think he's going to go top 10?
So there's a debate on who the number 1 receiver of this class is. It's between Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb for Oklahoma.
No,
I think Lamb is a faster, more of a burner type of a player. But Jeudy is a better route runner. Jeudy has some concerns with drops that happened this year that wasn't a problem.
Are either going to be Julio?
I think Jerry Jeudy will be.
No, neither of them are the physical specimen that Julio Jones was.
Then don't be fucking struck with wide receivers.
Yeah, they're taller. I would listen. I'm not knocking the receivers because there are some. This is actually a good class for wide receivers, but there is no way we're in. It doesn't matter who is there. In the top 10, a receiver is nowhere near an option for us.
Because it's going to be DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel.
You want Robbie Anderson, huh?
No, I mean, I don't know. Is that first he's got wild hair and he loves Matt Rule. He played for Matt Rule at Baylor.
I'd take Robbie Anderson.
He played for, and you know what? He might be the kind of player we could use right now. Is a guy that has a lot of talent, but isn't going to overly break the bank. But Matt Rule saved his college football career at Baylor and fought for him. He has been nothing but gushing about Matt Rule and how important he was to his maturity. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the name that is added in replace of a Jarris Wright.
I see him as a Jericho Cotchery.
I have to read this.
But fast.
I have to read this comment. Brad Dugan says, with the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, special teams gunner. Ohio State. Yeah, dude.
He'll play 6 plays a game. Yeah. 6 plays a game.
Of the night right there.
He played 25% of the season snaps and 80% of the special teams.
He'll have 14 sacks and 25% of the season snaps, and he won't get any more snaps.
And Ron was saying, but just missed some opportunities to get him involved in the game.
We've been moving from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and he just doesn't fit the scheme as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. Is that whole shit with Brian Burns, man? This is, all right, so, and I don't want to go off on a tangent about Brian Burns and what the defense was, but the one thing that always has stuck out to me about the Brian Burns thing is they're like, well, he's a weakness when they're running the ball.
Why?
Has anybody checked out what happens when the other guys are on the field? Because they can't stop the run for shit. Like, I mean, what the fuck? Like, how much of a liability is he when everybody else fucking stinks against the run? I don't get it.
Hey, question. I just not thought about it, and somebody I think posted it. Does Luke play in the Pro Bowl?
No, somebody said no already.
I heard somebody in the chat earlier say that no, he was already replaced, but I wasn't sure about that. So I'm just going by what they said.
Sorry, I just didn't mean to interject. I just was thinking about that.
All right, let's go to the next call. Was this call?
Guys, I got 2 questions. It's Joey Esquivel.
What's up, Joey?
What's up, Joey?
What's up, buddy?
All these points we're raising on the podcast, especially about, as where I am right now, I forgot who it was already, that time of night where Joey Esquivel's memory gets kind of fucked up. He keeps forgetting shit. But
I'm right there too, buddy.
That they feel like we're on the precipice of being something great.
I said that.
And my
Gosh, I don't. Yeah,
thought when it comes
that's
to
not
that
me.
is, how do we know anything, good or bad? How do we know? Because, I thought we knew a bunch of shit. My crazy ass was thinking this was going to be a great season when I was standing in that festival in September, the day before week 1. It was hot as fuck. It went like crazy. So I don't think we could say we know anything. And the second question is,
I want to comment on this after this call's over.
Do you think Luke Kuechly's retirement is phony? Because, I don't.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't.
No,
Not at all.
He had too much emotion. That was very
He
raw.
kind of wants to play again, and he decides to come back. I don't, because that doesn't seem like him, but
Yeah, he seems to be somebody who knows what he
my
wants.
head every time a player of that kind of stature retires. But,
I thought it with Andrew Luck, so I agree with you on
about
that.
it. If you ever do the cat calls again this show, you might get to this one, but
We got you, Joe.
Calling you out,
see you
Tony.
later, guys. Keep pounding.
Hey, we got a lot to
It's a
say.
way of
Keep
life,
pounding,
not
keep
being
pounding.
said.
Hey,
We
Greg,
always
you
got a lot
said
to
you
say
have
on this
something
show.
to say about that.
I do very quickly because I know he was commenting on what I was saying about us being on the precipice being great. Let's look at most teams that go on a Super Bowl run. There's a combination of luck and skill that has to do with the game. Okay, and if you look at the Panthers, even this year, I'll defend us. Okay, minus the last 4 games where we just totally tanked and just took a dump. I would say from the Packers game all the way to the beginning of the season, so that was week 9, I think, or 8, something like that. Every loss we had was in the last play of the game or on the last drive of the game. Okay, so you turn all those around, and we're looking at being 9-0 going to the Packers game.
Also, the story of the last 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, look at our 2015 season. Though we won those games in 2015, so we are on the precipice of being great if we can draft the right people and maintain this stature that we have. Because
hold on. I gotta interject here. I have a friend who says this same shit to me for the last 7 years. But guess what team he pulls for?
The
Bucks. Yes, exactly. Yeah, if we just had a kicker, if we just would have won the points in one possession, if we would just won this, if the power would have won it. No, we fucking sucked.
Look,
yeah, we did.
No, I'll give you that. We did. But what I'm saying is, if you break everything down past just looking at record, the first
it's even worse.
The first 9 games of the season.
Worse.
The first 9 games of the season we could have been 9-0. The first 9 games of the season easily could have been 9-0. Okay.
I don't know about that. That one of those losses was the 49ers.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Okay, so 8-1. Okay, so you get to that point in the season where you're 8-1. Do you think you end up with 4 losses at the end of the season? I really don't. Or 5 losses at the end of the season? I don't think we do. But all I'm saying
I looked at this team. I looked at this team all year, and I didn't see on the precipice of shit.
It's not going to be the same team. You're going to add a whole.
No, I'm just saying this. On the team I looked, I didn't feel like we were one play away. I'm sorry. I know there was
we were one play away on a bunch of different games.
In the beginning.
One play away from winning, we were definitely one play away from winning a bunch of games.
In the beginning, but overall, this team
the first 9 games.
Not
so Tampa Bay.
We beat the Titans. All right, how about this? We beat the Titans.
We did. And if they win the Super Bowl, I'm telling you right now, I'm claiming that we're Super Bowl champions.
I'll back you on that.
Sure, I guess I'm in too.
But no, hey, CK, you were about to go through it. Go through it.
I was going to say, so you had the Tampa, the Rams. I think was a bit bigger of a deficit, but like it wasn't like a blowout. But
if we just scored a touchdown, we'd have won.
Yeah. So and that one was so that one. I wouldn't say that was the last play type of, because I don't recall that coming down to one play, but I do recall that there were a lot of missed opportunities.
Oh, there were a lot of missed opportunities.
Okay, no, hold on, keep going. And then last drive, so that's one game.
Tampa Bay last drive, it was the Christian McCaffrey run. He got last play of the game.
That's 2 games.
Obviously, we won, and that's the last game Cam play. Then we won 4 in a row with Kyle Allen.
Then we got our ass stomped.
Got destroyed, and then we came back and we beat the Titans after that. And
Jaguars, right?
No, I thought we beat the Titans after we did that. Because I think the Jaguars was a little earlier. I could be wrong, but
Jags game.
But what? And so after that, Green Bay.
You're right.
Green Bay last play of the game. That's 3.
Green Bay last play. You had the Falcons. They wrecked us. You had both ways. Both of the times they wrecked us.
The Saints beat us by 3.
Saints won
beat us by
play
3.
on that 4. One play. That was another play that came down to the last second.
That's 4.
And
all right, how about this? If you would have won those games, would the Panthers' season turned out any different?
It would have. Because you would have beaten. Yes, it would have, because you'd have beaten the Saints and the Packers, who both made the playoffs. So that would have changed the whole scenario. Okay. Who else would we have beaten? The Rams.
Nope. They both would have basically been the same record then, obviously.
And we would have had the tiebreaker.
We would have not made if we. All right. So you're saying this is what was our record? 5 and what? Did we win 6 or did we win 5?
Well, 5 and 11.
5 and
I guess.
11.
Yeah. So we'd have been
so
9 and 7.
Add 3 games. No, add 3.
Add 4. Give me 4. Come on.
That's a lot. And guess what? 9 and 7 doesn't make it.
It doesn't. But it's a lot better than 5 and 11.
And you're not trending in the right direction. This team can't go in there and fight with the Saints right now. This team couldn't do shit against any NFC team.
Which might be good for next year.
Listen, we weren't winning the Super Bowl or making a playoff push with anyone other than Cam Newton under center. So really, it was a blessing. But it was a blessing in disguise that it kind of did go the way it did, because Kyle Allen or Will Greer were not going to take this team as far as it needed to be. So it's like, the old saying that I like to say on here: if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle.
Oh, my favorite. I almost said it to my kid the other day when he did this what if shit. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and Josh from Mass is obviously calling us out on that too. He said,
CK is back in deep mode.
There goes CK with the Barry White.
Hold on. Hold on. Is it better?
No, I think it's your
sounds
internet.
great. Leave it the way it is, man. It sounds great.
Leave it. All right, let's go. Can we? Yeah, it's awesome. It sounds.
It is awesome.
Say rub-a-dub-dub.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
All right, next call.
Guys, I'm going to sum up the way it kind of feels to look ahead right now. I've never done this because I'm blind and I can't take my guide dog because, well, you'll know the joke when I explain it. So, you know how when a skydiver goes up in the airplane, right? Mm-hmm. And they're, looking down, as you're not supposed to do, and as the advantages of being blind prevent you from doing. So you're looking down and you see,
Is Joey Esquivel blind?
Thin air that you just fall straight fucking through. And that's what this thing feels like. Like nothing. It's a blank slate. It's like blank air.
God, this is meta.
And we're gonna fill it, but we don't know how we're gonna fill it. We don't know when we're gonna fill it. Fuck, we don't know if we're gonna fill it.
I just hope we're not gonna fucking smash into the concrete. All right.
Is my voice back to normal, or is it still?
Sounds
Nah,
great.
you're right. You're good. You're good.
You're
All
good.
right.
We want the other voice back.
We're just gonna tell you. We're just gonna tell you it's good no matter what. So you're good.
You have no idea what you
go.
sound like.
Yeah.
All right. So look. Oh, you know what? Here, let's do this. Let's get a little positivity up in this mug.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're the only one being negative, Tony.
Yeah. Why can't we hear this?
Look. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. You just don't know if it's the outside of the tunnel or the train. So that's the thing. You just got to figure out if it's a train or not. So.
Decision in my life.
Either way, if you're seeing the light, you should just run.
I love the game of football.
Right. That's your best bet. That's your best bet.
No matter what it is.
That's always call heads.
Basketball
run towards the light.
And since
that's always the rules.
I love the game of football.
All right,
When my dad was working, my mom would take me out, and I would say now as I ran a fly route, and she'd throw the balls.
Gosh.
All right, let's.
I gotta hear this.
You are the only person in the
Dude,
world.
and Greg, is it that bad?
I'm negative about this.
People have asked me, why the call, why the draw, why do you want to take on this next chapter of your life? Well, Coach, you had a great thing at Baylor. Why did you want to go to the NFL? And it's really simple to me. I start every decision in my life with why, and I'll tell you this. I love the game of football. I was a kid that grew up in New York City and basketball all around me. And from an early age, I loved the game of football. When my dad was working, my mom would take me out, and I would say now as I ran a fly route, she'd throw the ball as far as she could, and I'd go over and try to catch it. And my dad, twice a year, would drive me to Pennsylvania, to Penn State, and watch games. I love the game of football. And football's done so much for me in my life. I was able to go to Penn State and was not a great player, but I was able to in some small part, contribute to that team. I was able to go on and get my master's degree because of football. I was able to get into coaching, and football's brought me in all these places and to meet all these people, and it's brought me here today. It's a special game. It's the greatest game that there is. You walk into a locker room, there's guys of all ages. There's guys from all different parts of the country. There's guys of all shapes and sizes. Yet they come together to form a team and play the hardest game that there is to play. They play in bad weather. They play when they're injured. They play when they don't feel great. They find a way to get it done as a team. It's the greatest game that there is. And as I sat here and was trying to make a decision about my life, I said to myself, Matt, what do you want? And I want to go and be a part of the greatest game at the highest stage. And I just had to figure out where.
Yeah. Whoever's going to pay you the most money, right?
Oh, no, not
whoever's going to pay you the most money. Look,
all right,
can I, please.
Yes,
I had to hear that preaching. Let me preach on this.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Let me preach on this. He said nothing there. He said absolutely nothing right there. All he said was, I've loved football my whole life. I've wanted to be go to the next level, and I got to find the place I'm going to go next. That's all he said. Like, he is preaching a sermon. He is speaking in general terms like a psychic or a preacher does that applies to everybody. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything right there.
Can you show me a single conference that's different?
More to the
yes, I can tell you a ton that are different.
That's what I'm saying.
And
he didn't impress me at all.
I hate this argument. This is the argument they used against Barack Obama, guys. Oh, he's a good speaker. Like, well, what is being a bad speaker? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that a knock? We just had to deal with George Bush for 8 years, who, God bless, I didn't realize how much I actually love George Bush. I actually am going back. I want to bring George Bush back at this point. But my point is this, is him crushing the press conference is not a negative.
But hold on, let me just say this. Greg, what you just said is literally true of every head coach press conference, introductory press conference that there's ever been. They're not going to tell you something new and revolutionary about the football team. There's nothing that he's going to come in and say that's going to sound any different. I mean, what could he say right now? Oh, well, this is the exact steps that we're going to take. We're going to do this, and this. Listen, all you have to do is hear the guy talk. He's a motivator. That
Okay.
when you're a
I'll give you
coach,
that.
you have to motivate 53 other men to go out there and fight their ass off and fight for one another. That's what Matt Rule does. No, he hasn't done it on an NFL level, but a lot of these guys that do perform on an NFL level get head coaching jobs and peter out after no time.
Do you know what he could? Do you know what he could have said? Hold on, real quick. Do you know what he could have said that would have made it more true to me, at least, made me feel like he's more real?
Tell me.
Is at
You
the very
should have
end he
hired
says,
Jim Harbaugh.
at the very end he says, "I just had to figure out where I wanted to go, and if I just, and if New York Giants would have matched me on what Dave Tepper was going to pay me, I would have chosen them." That's what I wanted him to say, because that right there makes me feel like he is not motivated to be on the team.
Or that he didn't go to the Jets last year and that Carolina. No.
He went where he was going to get paid the most. That's
Could
all
have
there is
been
to it.
a Jet coach, and now he's a Panther.
But they weren't going to pay him like Dave Tepper was, so he didn't even take the
No,
ball.
they didn't pick.
Here's
The Jets last year picked that crazy dude that looked at the fly the whole time, Adam Gates.
And do you think the Jets offered him 7 years, $60 million?
I think they picked somebody else over him.
Here's the thing, and I hate to. It's not fair to sit there and utilize that as a reason why you don't think that he wants to be here. He's only chasing the money. Let's be honest. The majority of anything any of these people do in the NFL is all about the money.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's be
I agree.
fair. Everybody is going to be, James Bradbury. A lot of people like him. Let's talk about Luke Kuechly and his contract, how he got paid. He got broken off as being one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. If he didn't get paid that, is he going to walk off and go somewhere else? Do we have that same mentality with them? No, but I do. I had the same thought. And then I loved his explanation. He said the only person he personally spoke with was David Tepper. That was it. Whether his agent does it or not, that's on his agent. He said, and I don't blame his agent for doing it. His agent's trying to get as much money as he can possibly get.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he had a scheduled interview with the Giants. He called to cancel that interview because he was going to accept this offer. It only made sense for his agent to reach out at the very least.
He also asked if they could match their offer.
Right.
Why would you ask that if you weren't going to
and
take
can
it?
I
They
tell
could
you
match
why?
it.
No, let me tell you why I think that is. So listen, David Tepper lays out the contract. He lays out the number of years and the amount of money as I'm going to sign this. He was supposed to be on a plane that day or the next day to go to New York. So he basically told his agent, listen, call them up, tell them, unless they're willing to tell me that they're going to match a contract like this, I don't even need to bother to get on a plane because these people want me here. They want me in the building. The Mara family of the New York Giants just fired Peterson or whatever his name was after 2 years. And you have a coach or a owner rather, and David Tepper that wants to build something long term and wants to build it around the coach. Even if the New York Giants told him that, there's no evidence that it was true. Whereas David Tepper is trying to build something brand new, and he can get to be a part of that. So it's the money and the situation is why I think
he also had 8 years in Baylor. You know what I'm saying? He had an 8-year deal in Baylor. So it's not like, here's the thing, is at the end of the day, I don't think you're not really chasing money when it's almost a kind of lateral, I won't say a lateral financial move.
No.
But a risky one.
It is. And two things to say that is, Cody, what you were saying, like you started that statement out with he called them, something about him calling and asking about, and if they're not going to match it, then you might as well do this. That is copping out to the money. If you're at a point where you're like, well, if they're not going to pay me as much, then I might as well do this.
Would it be foolish to not? How about this? Is that he said that he didn't do it, his agent, right? So would it be foolish to not even do that to maybe see if the Panthers drop $2 more million on the deal or something like that?
No, here's what it all boils down to.
I guess it's a good point, yeah.
Here's what it all boils down to. Think about it this way. He interviewed with the Panthers. They offered him this, right? He's going to accept that offer. Well, if he can actually interview with the Giants with that same offer on the table, now he gets to choose where he wants to go. He didn't even interview. He doesn't know if that was going to be a good fit or not. But if he knew that it was actually going to come down to him being able to make a decision between the two based on the fact that they were both willing to pay that type of money, he didn't even need that interview with them. Didn't even need it. He just went ahead and he only spoke with David Tepper, and he came to Carolina the next day. What I think is most impressive, Greg, is the fact that that entire speech, that entire press conference, he wasn't shaken. He wasn't, he was up for the job. In less than 24 hours, he had that speech memorized. Think about it. How often did he look down at cards? Not once.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what. For $60 million, I'll memorize the speech.
Well, he's good. No, he's good at that. He's a natural.
Seriously,
he's a natural there. But I don't want. Back to my Obama analogy, and I just want to say this.
Before you do it, can I please drop a bomb on Greg's logic? Can I please drop one?
Because Brad Dugan already called me Salt Daddy, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I love you, Brad.
Why on earth would you be so excited about Joe Brady coming to Carolina and not Matt Rule? Because even
Joe Brady proved a lot more. Joe Brady proved a lot more.
Wasn't it? Okay, listen. Now,
actually, he hasn't proved anything more.
Yeah, hold on.
He's proved a lot less.
We just bragged about it at the beginning of the show.
Right. Listen, listen. Hear me out. Don't get it twisted. I'm excited about Joe Brady, but Joe Brady was with LSU, a blue blood powerhouse SEC football team that had incredible talent all the way around him. Mm-hmm. And Joe Brady was, as we said earlier, he was the passing game coordinator and called plays on third down and red zone. That's not a head coach. But he
didn't get hired as our head coach. He didn't get hired as the head coach.
There isn't. Okay, but that's my point. There isn't anything that Matt Rule has done, or vice versa. Joe Brady hasn't done anything that Matt Rule has done.
He's done a lot less. He's done a lot less. No, he didn't. He was part of a national title team.
Matt Rule turned around two bottom feeder programs.
I know.
And Joe, by the way, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Clive Edward-Helaire, that entire offensive line, NFL players up and down that football field.
I'll give you that.
Matt Rule did not have that, and it turned them into contending programs in their
with sanctions.
And he said the things that I always love to hear, guys. He said it in his, and I wanted to bring this up, and I should have gloated a little bit more. How long has the professor talked about and questioned the teaching ability of the coaching staff for the Carolina Panthers? Going back to Mike Shula, the question was not whether or not he understood football, but his ability to communicate and teach other players about the game was a question on my mind, from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. Again, we go back to this. After Ron Rivera in the Super Bowl year where he was at his peak, afterwards you continue to hear him talk about players missing assignments, this and that. But he said, these guys have learned this. They have to execute it. Well, maybe they haven't learned it. Matt Rule emphasizes the importance of getting a staff that is primarily a set of teachers. And I think this is fundamentally important, particularly in a game where players are getting more athletic with less experience, with less practice time, and I think it's important. So I wanted to gloat about that, but I do want to put this bomb on the Salt Daddy, because that comment, by the way, that is funny. That's so funny.
It's great. It was good. It was good. It was good.
All right, so you said that his speech is just like kind of what you're supposed to do. Like, let's not over-celebrate someone for doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, fair. After the All or Nothing series, when you saw Ron Rivera at the halftime of the Pittsburgh game, did you change your opinion about him? When he gave that fucking don't let these bitches punch you in the mouth, you know, that whole speech where he was cursing and got done saying, did you, the All or Nothing series, did you think more highly of Ron Rivera?
Okay. it may have changed my opinion slightly, but I want you to know that's what the point of speaking like that is supposed to do, and that's all I'm saying is
isn't that what Cody's saying?
Yeah, look, it's like I said, I don't dislike Matt Rule. He just hasn't proven anything to me yet. No, he hasn't proven anything to me yet, man. Okay, what bothers me the most is the contract. I don't think that somebody who is unproven deserves a 7-year, $60 million contract.
But it doesn't matter. Tepper can pay him to go away. He can pay him to go away like a fucking bad hooker.
Let me ask a simple question. What does proven mean?
Has done something.
That is not a simple question.
That's not a simple question, no. But has at least done.
No, but it's what you're talking about because you're saying that it's not.
I can define it for you. Has at least done something more than been an assistant offensive line coordinator for a losing team in the NFL. That something more than that. I can't define it for you exactly, but something more than that.
What do you mean losing team? Didn't they win the Super Bowl that year?
No, they went 9-7.
I thought it was 9-7. Excuse me, not a losing team. 9-7. Cody, I want to ask you though, how many players are on a college roster?
Sometimes between 80 to 90 players.
Yeah. 80 to 90 players. Okay, so you're looking at 45 to 50 more players than the NFL roster. How many players a year leave a college roster, do you think, on average?
Well, it depends. So you're only there for 4 years unless you redshirt. That produces it
or you leave
5,
early. Yeah.
Or you leave early after your junior season.
Or you transfer.
Transfers. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of influx from year to year.
Okay, so would you say maybe 25 of the 75, or excuse me, of the 90 players probably leave every year? 25, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'd say about somewhere around that number. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit north or south, either way.
Okay, so that means every year you're looking at getting. Not only are you looking at changing over 25 players, but every other team in your conference is as well. Okay, so when you get to the pros, how many players do you have on the roster? 53, right?
Yeah, on a 52-man
roster. Okay, how many players can you gain per year in the draft? Max of 7, right?
Well, no, you can have more
compensatory
than 7.
pick.
Okay, well, generally on average,
just say
about
7. Just say 7. Tom.
Just say 7. Okay?
Most teams don't get 7.
So the difference in being able to gain 25 to 30 players of new talent every year, and being able to gain 7, which you may not know what they're going to do, and losing 35 players every year, or 25 to 30 players every year, and keeping almost everybody you have, changes it up completely.
That's a flawed logic.
It's not a flawed logic, man. It's proof. Look at the proof of the pudding, man.
Free agents exist. Undrafted free agents exist. So what you're saying is so if there's 90 people on the team, your logic is that all 90 are contributing, right? If 25 of those people leave, you're also losing people that haven't contributed to the actual success of the team.
Fair
right?
point.
We have the same thing. We have training.
Fair point.
Have the actual practice squad. What you're saying is the ability to only add 7 people a year. That's not true. We can add free agents. We can add undrafted free agents.
Do you think we add? But do you think we add more than 25 people a year?
We don't have that big of a roster to add.
We are
exactly. That's my point.
What is your point?
But think percentages.
The transition from college to pro is different.
What is 25?
Nobody's arguing that.
Yeah. I don't.
Nobody's arguing that the transition's different.
I'm saying that's my issue with Matt Rule is that coming from a college coach that has not had success. Excuse me. He had success turning Temple and Baylor around. Were Temple and Baylor ever contenders on the national level?
Yeah, but Baylor was ranked number 9 this year.
I got to jump in right there.
Is number 7 a contender?
Temple and Baylor were never listen. Baylor could have gone with only 1 loss this year and still not made the college football playoff.
That's my point. Is they're not playing the competition at the top level, which is not even close to the NFL level. That's my point.
Greg, we're gonna have to.
If you're going to be successful at a lower level.
This is the last thing I'll say on it, Greg. This is what I think you're doing. I think you're putting a magnifying glass. Okay, yes, all right.
You may be right.
He's not proven on the NFL level. But look, let's do this song and dance. if it was Eric Bieniemy that we hired, everybody would have been saying, "Oh, Andy Reid calls the plays. Oh, look how much talent is over there in Kansas City." So how
I agree with that 100%.
He's going to be able to. Okay, so how about this? Let's go to your dude, Greg Roman. Well, have you seen the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs the past 2 years choke on a big one, and literally as soon as they hit the field? What about that says that Greg Roman is going to be able to motivate a team in the playoffs? Jim Harbaugh has never won a championship in college or the NFL. And all of these are legitimate criticisms. But if you hold them under a magnifying glass and do nothing but look at those, then of course you're going to turn yourself off on any prospect that we hire.
And I think Richard's Outdoor World brings up a good point. He says, think about, instead of the 90-man roster and the 53-man roster, how many starters do you lose?
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Out of 22. And that's the point, is if a roster is twice the size, then you get to lose twice the amount of people. And we're about to lose 20 people.
You're going to have turnover no matter what. You're going to have turnover. Every coach deals with it.
And thanks, Wit 3 Hammer 3R 53.
It's White Hammer 53 actually worked with him. He's a Patriots fan, guys. Just
all right, explain that. Explain that. How'd you read that?
White Hammer.
I don't see
White
that.
Hammer.
I see Wit 3.
Look, my point is, guys, these are my these are my issues with Matt Rule. Now, I am totally down to be turned around and convinced. And I think somebody said in the chat room earlier, was like, well, what if he wins? You're right. What if he wins? Then I'm going to look like a fool. Then I'm wrong. But I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm skeptical. Like, that doesn't mean that I don't think he can be a great coach. I'm just not impressed with what I've seen so far.
You just don't like preachers. That's what I think.
Not for 7. No, I don't like people who speak in general terms and can control a crowd with general terms. No, you're right. I don't like that. But I just don't.
NFL coaches.
NFL coach. I continue to say this is I do think that charisma helps.
Yes, yeah, it's a good point.
Until Bill Belichick is on the market to be made the head coach,
the anti-charisma.
I'm tired of talking about it. Is it this guy or that guy? Like, listen, hey, how about this?
Okay, let's change the conversation then. What's Joe Brady going to do to the offense?
Oh God, you want me to take this?
You want to talk about some deep balls? You want to talk about
this is what we should have been talking about the entire show.
Let's keep it PG.
Let's talk about it. Yes. Take it, Cody. What will he do this offense?
So, one, it's a West Coast offense. So they love to move the ball down the field. They love to take.
I thought West Coast offense was short passes.
Well, no, I mean you can do a lot of those intermediate areas. They like to get their players in space. They love to utilize the tight end. You're going to see a lot of 1 and 2 tight end sets. But one of the reasons why I'm so happy about this is because it seems to be that Joe Brady in this offense is going to emphasize something that's been lacking in the Carolina Panthers for a long time, at least under Cam Newton, and that's separation. Guys that can run routes with precision, guys that can burn you. It's a very versatile scheme. As we go on, I'll start to prepare some stuff. I'll start to grab some videos of some LSU tape so I can kind of show all of our listeners and viewers kind of what we can be expecting. But we're talking about an offense that, think about the Kansas City Chiefs. They want to be able to run the ball effectively, but at the same time, they want you to know that at a moment's notice, they can put points on the board from anywhere on the football field.
The Chiefs can't.
They have those kinds of options. So what?
The Chiefs can't run the ball this year, though.
But it doesn't matter, dude. Did you see him? That offense is still unstoppable.
I know, it's insane. How did they score? They scored 21 points in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was 24-0, and before halftime, they were winning by I forget what the score was at halftime, but they had gone up. And they were never. And they were
I
never.
dropped my kid and I went into Lowe's and we came out and the game was different.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, literally, it was 24-0 when we went in Lowe's, and I was listening to it on the radio with my son Michael, and I said, "It's 24-21." He said, "What? What?"
It's the Kansas City Chiefs have a powder keg offense, meaning it might not happen right away, but once it ignites, dude, there's no stopping it. That bomb has gone off, and Joe Brady was pivotal in building that same kind of offense for LSU. And I'm telling you, they're gonna want a mobile quarterback that can extend plays inside the pocket, and a quarterback that can push the ball down the field, and that's going to be able to open stuff up for Christian McCaffrey. The way this is what should excite everyone. The way they were able to get the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for LSU. They did so many cool things in the passing department and in the rushing department. And he was almost a 1,500-yard back this year. I mean, think about the potential of Christian McCaffrey in this offense. Man, the potential is boundless, limitless.
Josh from Mass says, if I change my mind, I got to change my handle to Rule Daddy.
Yes, I love that. All right, let's look. Let me squeeze in 2 more calls real quick. I know it's so late, but these guys called in before all this news broke. They deserved it.
Carolina Podcast, how y'all doing?
This is G.
I know it's been a while. But hey, breaking news. I know y'all seeing it on TV and on Twitter. Hey man, Brady is now the offensive coordinator for the Panthers. That is going to be something special. That's going to be something big. The only bad thing I got to say about that is hopefully it will translate to the NFL. I mean, I know LSU. I'm sorry, Cody. They beat Clemson. I was riding with Clemson too. I really was. But hey,
me too.
The better team won that night or whatever. But getting back to Brady, hopefully it can, translate to the NFL. That's my personal opinion. And another thing is, I'm like, look, Cincinnati has a number 1 pick. 9 times out of 10, the quarterback Burrow, wherever his name is, he's gonna be the number 1 pick. I'm looking online at people saying that the Panthers are willing to. People are predicting that we're gonna trade Cam Newton to the Bengals to get that number 1 pick. Now, they do look good in college, but there's so many college players that look good in college, then do shit in the NFL. I mean,
yeah, but
you can go on and on. Andy Dalton, Chris Winkie. If y'all old enough to remember Chris Winkie in Florida State, tearing it up.
One-eyed Winkie.
One game. One damn game that I can actually remember. He didn't do all that damn good. You know what I'm saying? So, give me your takes on that. I really don't want them to trade Cam Newton or whatever, or release him or whatever, or anything like that to get that number 1 pick, because you have to give up a lot to get that number 1 pick, man. So, but I'm excited to see Brady be the offensive coordinator to the Panthers. And always remember, y'all, keep pounding.
All right,
Tony, do you want me? You want to go to the next one, or do you want me to? Because I could say something to this.
But if you want me to, real quick.
But I mean, okay, listen, we're Panther fans, so we have a different view of Cam Newton. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you're a Bengals fan, does it make you happy to draft Cam Newton? Or to trade for Cam Newton instead of Joe Burrow, who just buzzsawed the SEC West and then the defending national champions?
Doesn't make any sense.
It makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't. If the Bengals didn't need a quarterback as bad, if they had a question, if they could have gone Chase Young, then maybe it happens. But they really need something to build around, and I mean they're probably even worse than our team is when it comes to who's their identity. Next call, last call.
What's up, fellas? Kyle from VA, and man, the news from this point forward is just since the season has ended, we have got nothing but pretty much just all good news. I'm ready.
Pre-Luke. All this is pre-Luke Kuechly, cuz.
Just on that, Joe Brady.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Is
Oh,
coming.
can we go back to this time
Charlotte.
of the day?
I
People
felt
said
the
he wasn't
same
gonna
way,
do
man.
it, but here we are. Man, I'm telling you, Matt Rule. People can hate on him, whatever they want to say. I believe in Matt Rule. He builds winning teams. And then on top of that, Phil Snow's probably coming as a defensive coordinator. I was seeing a little bit of what he's done. I know it's college, but he looks like he can disguise blitzes, and I mean, he just looks good. And then, damn it, we got Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, man, with Cam, with Christian McCaffrey, with DJ Moore, with Curtis Samuel, Ian Thomas. If Greg Olsen come back, then yeah, but I don't think he is. But still, man, next year is gonna be crazy. I'm so ready for it. I don't know how I'm gonna wait through the damn off season. I'm ready to get this draft on the way, and let's go. Keep pounding, baby.
Keep pounding.
Oh, Josh said his second call didn't roll. I think this is it. Maybe is this it, Josh?
Yeah.
No, that's not Josh. Is it this one?
Hey, what's up, C3 fam? This is Carl D.
Carl D.
What the
I don't
fuck,
got.
dude?
Oh,
That
that's
came
Joe.
out of fucking nowhere. Luke is gone.
Oh, here it is. Maybe.
Hey guys, Josh from Mass again.
There it is.
There it is.
Yay.
What a day for Panthers fans and Panthers Nation. And they, as of 20 minutes ago, the entire football world as we know it. I'm sure a lot of you are aware by now. Luke Kuechly is retired. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of speculation as to why. But to those of us who held him in high regards and saw him play just about every snap he ever played in this league, I think the man knows that he was probably a concussion or two away from.
I didn't know my marriage was about to
real
break
damage
up,
to
though.
himself that's not stuff that he could reverse.
Didn't see it coming.
It really hurts.
Luke
to see him go.
Kuechly
It
just
really
told me
does.
he didn't love me
It hurts the
anymore.
hell out of this defense.
Most people don't see it coming, man.
You're
But I mean-
right. You are so
And
fucking
if anybody's
right about
mad
that.
at him about it, I mean, I plead with you, please don't be, because the man did the smart thing and chose his health over the game he loves, which not a lot of guys are able to do. I'm sure plenty of us are
There's
mad,
definitely
sad,
no.
disappointed, whatever. I'm in the same boat, but I'm happy to know that, happy to see that the man is making the right decisions, so that way, in the future, that he's alive for his Hall of Fame ceremony. That he's not going to be some vegetable.
I hope so.
He's not going to be banged up. That he's making the right choice. And I mean, who's to say that he couldn't end up being a linebacker coach for us? I don't think that's too far out of the realm of possibility, but
I mean, I
what a
guess he
shit
has
season
been
for it to
coaching
come
Shaq
off
the
of,
whole
too.
time.
He's the type of guy who you look at it and it's one of those guys you really wish we could have gotten a ring for. Him and Greg and Thomas Davis
And Steve.
Shit, man.
I mean, we
Man, I
had,
wasn't gonna
had
drink
Steve
tonight,
Smith
but I
out.
think tonight's drinking night now.
You should drink tonight. You should.
I drank as soon as that came
Man,
out.
at least I got to see him play in person. At least I got to yell out with all the
There
other
you go.
animals
There
in
you
the
go.
crowd. Yell, "Moo!"
Yeah.
There you go.
At least I got to do that a few times. Keep pounding, Panther Nation. We'll get through it.
We will.
And this is, we're so worried. I've been so down in the dumps, but I mean, in some ways we should celebrate this, is that we have seen Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly make the Carolina Panthers relevant for a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal. These guys have meant more to our franchise, arguably, than any other players.
Oh, but without,
like together,
without
like as a duo at the same time. This last 10 years has been the most relevant 10 years of the Carolina Panthers franchise.
Well, it's two definitive captains on one on each side of the ball that you can say throughout their prime of their career were the top 5, when they were playing at their best. And you can't say that for a lot of teams. You have somebody on both sides of the ball like that. It's insane. You're right. It's they've definitely been the face for a while.
Listen, I know everybody's tired. Everybody's waiting to get off. But we're going to do something. I don't care because this is the episode that we found out Luke Kuechly is retiring. I want it in the chat room. We're going to do a Luke on the count of 3. And we're all going to do it. And I want the chat and get it in the chat. We're going to do it here on the count of 3. I need Luke at the top of your lungs. And as long as you can hold it. 1, 2, 3. Luke! That's for you, 59. We love you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Sad. I came on here to be so excited tonight, and now I left in sadness. All right, guys, look. This is C3 Panthers podcast. We'll be here next Tuesday. CK and these guys are trying to reinvigorate the podcast into more, which I love. So I need y'all's energy, CK, Cody, Greg. I love it. I need it, especially just in the life that I'm living. So we're going to be back here next Tuesday, but we're going to be continuing to work to keep you informed and up to date on the Panthers news and trying to bring you fresh content from the fan perspective. And at the end of the night, you guys, we always ice somebody up. It's our homage to Steve Smith. It's the longest running segment. In fact, it's the only segment, and the cat calls. We only have 2 segments. The other shit is just us talking fucking forever. But the ice up picks is where we tell somebody ice up, toughen up, get it together. I'm ready tonight. It's nothing great, but who wants to go first? Should I go?
Do.
You do?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Shut up! Oh, I love it. Get it.
All right. Mine's low hanging fruit, I think. But so the Titans obviously have come out and surprised the world, right? They came out and they beat the Patriots, and then you have Earl Thomas who decides to say, I was watching these guys. They were afraid to tackle. That's not going to be a problem when he comes over here. Dude literally gets turned into basically just a shield for Derrick Henry while he's running down the field. Turns this guy into his own lead blocker, blocking his own teammates. Like, I'm just telling you, like, when you're going up against somebody like Derrick Henry and you're as small as you are as Earl Thomas, when you look in comparison and as far as size is concerned, like the fact that you didn't even make an attempt to go like and try to take him down, you like literally started to run away from him. That does not look very good when you're sitting there talking crap about how it looked like other people were afraid to tackle him. That's not going to be an issue here. Oh man, that was the
John Henry. Muggs making business decisions.
Dude, man, it was glorious, and I'm loving.
Would you step in front of that fucking freight train?
Hey, listen, I'm not paid to play that game, so no.
I don't think they're paid to play it. I think they're stepping out of the way, bro.
But yeah, no, I've got to say it. Earl Thomas, you've been a very cocky and arrogant. Well, I won't say arrogant. I'll say confident. Player in this league. And you've played at a high level, but
on both offense and defense.
You've been a great blocker for teammates that you don't even have on your team. So ice up, Earl Thomas, ice up.
All right. My ice up pick goes to Stephen A. Smith. And Cody, I need your help, Cody. Who is the guy that got kicked out of the Clemson game for targeting?
James Skalski.
that guy, which it
James
was.
Skalski, yeah.
It was crown of the head all day. And back in the day, we would have called that spearing. That's what we would have called it. You know what I'm saying? So it's been but here, this is Stephen A. Smith's tweet about it. What BS? To get thrown out of the game for a hit is utterly ridiculous. Penalty? ? Fine? But to get thrown out of the damn game is just fucking ridiculous. How are you going to fine an NCAA athlete, you stupid ass? Sorry, is that you can't fine them because they don't have fucking income. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Ice up.
Yeah.
What the
You
fuck?
can literally
Fine
put-
them.
you can-
Like, I mean, all right, you can be upset with the call, but you can't say fine them instead. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
You can literally put his entire every hot take he has on a reel and just ice up everything he says. Like he is just a walking idiot in some
Yeah,
cases.
he really is, man. Oh, I can't stand hearing him.
And he's a walking contradiction. Like he'll always contradict himself. Oh, Cam Newton can't play at a high level. He's playing at a high level. Oh man, he's the greatest person in the world. You know, I've always been on Cam's side.
Mm-hmm. Say whatever.
Fine them. Don't fine them. Suspend them. Don't suspend them. Give them a scholarship. Don't give them a scholarship. Ice up. All right, who's next? Let's get the hell on.
CK, you got one? Greg.
Yeah, I go. Mine's a little more personal, and I'll give you a little backstory on it. I'm icing up the, I guess you would call it the medical field or medical practice in America. It's, and I don't want to say that to everybody. It's more the financial aspect of it than actually what they do, because I'm very grateful for what a lot of doctors and everybody does in this country, but sometimes it just seems like a money grab, man. My mom had heart surgery about last month, and they didn't go in and do what they were supposed to do. So they went to another doctor, and she had heart surgery again today. And they once again didn't do what they were supposed to do because they were supposed to put a stent in based on her testing. And the doctor said that he had no way of knowing that she had prior surgery on this a month ago and that she would needed this before. But that's your job, man. Like, that's on your stat.
How do you
like, it's
not
on your,
know it?
Yeah, it's on your chart of what you need to do. So she went through the procedure again today and didn't get what she needed. And it's $20,000 every time she has to do this. So now she has to go in for another procedure again when this hasn't fixed the problem. And hopefully they do it right next time. But man, that's $60,000. And while I appreciate the medical service and what they do in this country and where we're at, man, some of the pricing is absolutely ridiculous, and it's impossible for, just a blue collar person to live on that kind of stuff. So I'm icing up the medical service for that alone, not necessarily what you do, but what you charge for it. It's insane. And the fact that like I said, I feel like it's a money grab. There's no reason the doctor should have known what she needed going into that based on the information you had before. And because of that, now you've got to go into it again. It's just, whatever, man. Ice up. That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, I hate to call that mal.
My mom's home. She's okay.
Well, thank God for that. But you don't want to call it malpractice. But the fact, you remember in 9/11?
Medical history, dude.
It's like, it's 9/11. This is the 9/11 of medical things. And it's like this. The fucking FBI knows. The CIA knows. This knows. But nobody can fucking share a damn story with each other.
Hey, it's almost like we should have Medicare for all, and we shouldn't have to be paying for all this shit. But that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. That's right.
So
Not this
my eyes up
podcast.
big. Not this one. That's right.
Not this one.
I'll save it for fighting people on Twitter. My ice up pick tonight is going to LSU fans because they did something almost worse than beating us in the national championship. I mean, we've already won 2. We're going to be back there next year. So whatever. They had their dream season. But they started a GoFundMe for Clemson to change their mascot, to give us the money to change our mascot because it's so ugly. They think that our tiger It looks like he's on meth or something. And one, I say, how dare you? But I also say, fuck you, we just got your offensive coordinator, bitch. Eyes up, son.
And give all your fucking money to that GoFundMe because it's just some asshole taking your money because it will never lead to the change of a logo. What happens to GoFundMe money when it doesn't happen?
I think so if it doesn't go through, I think they have to refund it by law.
I'm worried. I would be worried about that.
I don't know.
I think you have to. But I don't know, man. It's so stupid, dude. Like
I had
Greg.
Greg, do not listen to Dr. Death.
Dr. Death? That's a podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've heard about that.
It's very fucking good, but in lieu of having problems in the medical industry, don't want to mess with fucking Dr. Death because you'd be scared of this goddamn fuck.
I don't think with a name like Dr. Death, I want to mess with you anyway.
He didn't. That wasn't his real name. He just turned out to be Dr. Death. He just turned out to paralyze every motherfucker he worked on not by accident. It would just be like if I went in there and gave you back surgery. I guess it'd be worse. All right. Anyway, let's get the fuck out of here. It's late. It's 12:20. The podcast has had 3 reincarnations tonight. I mean, Jesus Christ. Luke Kuechly is retired. Tony is in despair. Cody is excited about the Brady Bunch. CK, are you up or down?
I think that this offseason has been a great balancing act.
Already?
Of positives. So there's positives and then there's negatives, right? I think this bodes well for the season. Last year, I was just all up. There was nothing that was going to go wrong with this season. We had everything going our way in the offseason. Everything worked out the way that it just miraculously was working out. And it led to a pretty far, descent into frustration with the team. So I think that not seeing the positive, having the positives, but also having the negatives kind of keeps us level, keeps us at a point to where we're able to kind of maybe dial back our expectations while being hopefully optimistic. But no, yeah, I'm kind of level. I'm happy about the changes. I'm upset about the loss of Luke and the fact that, in my opinion, and I could be wrong in doing this, but I feel like all the moves being made indicate that Cam isn't going to be back next year. So I think there's just so many things moving that I'm even. I have no
wait and see, right? Wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. Not going to make any snap judgments, but I think it's okay to be optimistic at this point.
All right, how can they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me on Twitter and most other social media platforms at Codizzle Allen, CODIZZLE, and then Allen, ALLEN.
Beatbox and pass the mic.
Go, Greg.
Good deal. Well, you can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. I also do another podcast. It's the Super Civil Servants podcast, where we talk about movies, television, and comics, stuff like that. All kinds of pop culture, entertainment. Cody was on my show a couple weeks ago. Tony's been on my show. CK, you're going to be on real soon. Y'all check us out whenever you get a chance. It's fun to listen if you like that kind of stuff. And I will say that I have had my Festivus. I aired my grievances for Matt Rule. From now on, I am going to wait until I see something negative before I react about this, because I'm going to look positive and hope that things are going to go better. Because I know Richard's Outdoor was saying, Greg, just go ahead and admit that you hope you're wrong. And he's right. I do hope that I'm wrong. So based on that, I'm moving forward. Like I said, I've had my Festivus. I've aired my grievances here. I'm going to move forward and look at the positive of Matt Rule and hope that it works out well. I just really hope that it works out well.
CK, pass the mic to Cody.
Do it.
To wrap up the final segment, we saved the best for last.
Love it.
Mr. Cody Lackney.
All right, you can get at me on Twitter at CodyLack, CodyLac. We have a brand new mock draft coming out on Draft Tech tomorrow. I'm much more in depth on all these picks. All the comments are shorter, while the college prospects are deciding to either declare or return to college, so it's not super in depth right now. But check out my picks for the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans, whatever, if that floats your boat too. And follow me on Twitter from all my other bullshit takes that you probably don't want to hear.
Beatbox me in. This is your boy, Professor. My name is Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We're here Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Here with my homies, rapping, trapping, getting at you with the latest Panthers news and opinions. We'll see you next week.
Love it.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Hell yeah.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Nice buns, soft, fluffy, and ultra-low net carbs. Discover Hero Bread, the delicious, ultra-low net carb bread with incredible taste and texture. Hero Bread has 0 grams of sugar and is under 100 calories per serving. Plus, high in fiber with 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. Order from hero.co now and get 10% off your first purchase with promo code AH10. That's 10% off with code AH10. HERO.co.